All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Robinhood Earnings. This is Q3 2025. Very excited to be here with everybody. I'm here with two people that have been on the journey with me over the past couple years, and it has been very rewarding to be on this journey with friends. Roy and Tanner, how you guys doing?
Doing great. Yeah, I'm excited. My largest position, not worried either way. Amazing company, amazing execution. Stock is way up. We know it's going to be good. The question is how good and how will the market react? So,
Yeah. Dude, I'm really freaking excited to see not only what Hood is going to put up, but a lot of the Q&A this time around, I also think is going to be really interesting. They're entering so many new markets this time around, credit cards, prediction markets, banking. They can really answer things in ways that I think could be, material to push the stock. Aside from that, there's actually a lot of other companies that are pretty exciting that are also reporting today. I think we'll be listening into the Hood call and having a couple questions there, but today in general is going to be a very jam-packed day, so should be exciting.
Yeah, so not only do we have Hood, we have Duolingo, AppLovin, Qualcomm, IONQ, Elf, Fortinet, DoorDash, Joby, Lyft, Dutch Bros, HubSpot, Centrus Energy, Innovix, Honest, Figma, and probably a couple others that I'm missing. So we're going to get the results on Hood at 4:05. We're going to try to analyze the results at least for about 20, 25 minutes and kind of break them down. And then we're going to get to pretty much every other stock. Last time we did this, we had Hood, Microsoft, and Meta. So those were two big names to pay attention to. But if you're in any of the other names, we will try to get the coverage immediately right after we get Hood. If there's like a big mover up or down, we'll probably call it out in the middle of it. But we are going to see if we can get that Hood coverage. So the street is expecting 1.22 billion in revenue. Some analysts have 1.2, others have 1.22. So it might be a little, this happened last time, a little bit of confusion on exactly what the expected revenue number is, but it has gone up. Originally it was 1.01. So it's gone up by about 200 million and 54 cents of EPS. I'm going to do the pump or dump poll in the chat. Obviously the stock is moving going into the print up about 5%. Tanner, we'll start with you. What do you think happens to the stock, and do you think they beat on the top and the bottom line?
I have $1.2 billion, which is just slight of what Wall Street's expecting. And then I also have, which is also conservative. There's a couple things that I don't have baked in. So I might be right in line with Wall Street there. And I've got 55 cents of EPS. Now, the reason why I'm so close to Wall Street is because there's very little guessing that we have to do on this name. I mean, we've seen all of the volume that they've seen over the past 3 months, aside from like 3 trading days. So this is why consensus is going to be very tight. The only thing that we don't know is the take rate on the business and other small things like event contracts and what that means. But even then, they've shown us details of 2 billion options contracts traded during Q3 and all this different details. So I don't know, man. I'm hopeful that they just come out with a large surprise and beat earnings, maybe Bitstamp, maybe credit cards seeing more transactions than people expect. But it's very hard to surprise on this name whenever you give all of your information before the quarter's even released.
Agreed. Roy, your thoughts on how you think the stock will react?
I wouldn't be surprised to see a pullback just because we've been running hard. The market's doing a little bit better today, but there is some weakness on it, and it tends to sell off even very good earnings for names that have risen a lot. We've seen that over the last couple of weeks. So, if that happens, I mean, it's my largest position, but I'm sitting pretty. I'm very happy and pleased with the execution. And there is a, like Tanner said, there's less opportunity for surprise on the upside. But I would push back on one thing. You said small things like event contracts. Predictions market is not a small thing, especially in the narrative that is Robinhood. And so I think that that's going to be paramount this quarter. Additional surprises could also come from stock lending. We saw a huge surprise. They had some commentary on it last time. Of course, the new acquisitions, you mentioned Bitstamp, but also Trade PMR. Margin rates, we don't know those for the previous month. We do for the first two, and they were absolutely ridiculous. And of course, international expansion. So anything can happen. Lots known. We know it's going to be good. The question is how good.
The only reason why I said small is because I think we even seen how many contracts were traded in Q3. It was something like, 2 billion contracts or whatever, which roughly comes out to $20 million. That's roughly like 1% of the revenue of what we're expecting. So like I am expecting them to grow. I just mean in this quarter, it's not going to be that material. That's all.
Yeah, and my thought is just the market's forward looking, and you'll see. I think we'll see most questions, maybe even some of our questions too, on the predictions market. That's a future, a strong future growth driver that's accelerating rapidly, and I think that's probably depending on, of course, how they report that and what they say as far as. Of course, they also might release October numbers too. We've seen them do that before, but that's going to be a big part of what drives, I think, the stock in the future.
The implied move is 7%. Now that implied move, I think, was before the 5% move today, which is, it's what makes earnings such a gamble sometimes because you just never know how it's going to play out. NVIDIA kind of getting a dump right here into the close. AppLovin has a 10% move, ARM 7%, DoorDash 8%, Snapchat 13%, IONQ 9.3%, and then Figma as their second quarter as a public company. That is also a 13% move. NVIDIA right there going down. Tesla actually up going into the shareholder vote tomorrow. S&P 500 did hit 680.8. Right now we're at 678. So not a horrible day for the S&P. SoFi's up 2%. AMD's up 3%. And then Robinhood right here up 5.5% as we are getting into a Palantir right there down about 1.5. And then Reddit up 0.2. I think the other important thing to understand as we get into this earnings, and just always to put some context into it, Robinhood was $7 back in December of 2023. It is now $144. It is the best performing stock in the entire S&P 500 because they got in to the S&P 500 2 months ago. So congratulations to all shareholders on them getting into the S&P 500 as well. So look, if the stock does take a dip and it goes down 10%, instead of being up 230%, it's up 225% or 220%. Like it's at this point, the numbers become kind of just like, okay, it's up a lot, obviously, and it's going to hurt materially portfolios that have big positions to it, like a lot of us do, but it's not something we can't be grateful for. So I just want to see the company execute. As long as they execute, I think long-term shareholders will be rewarded. If you are speculating on earnings, you just got to remember we've had a lot of companies give really good numbers, but a lot of it was priced in, and that means the earnings don't necessarily turn out the way you want in terms of the stock price action.
Yeah, the long-term vision of the company is what I think all three of us are focused on. And unless they show negative numbers, it's going to help out the long-term vision of this company, seeing more members that are transacting more often, that are increasing their total share of wallet on Robinhood. And from everything I'm seeing lately, like with Vlad Tenev's interaction with the Tesla community and the Open Door community, they only are incentivizing and wanting people more to come onto that platform. And I honestly think it's working. So I think Q3 is going to be good. I think Q4, aside from the lack of trading volume that might end up showing up, I actually think Robinhood will see an outsized amount of market share growth in Q4 as well. But we'll see.
Yeah, this is the last pretty easy comp that they have. Q4 will be harder. I think they'll be fine, but it does get more challenging beyond this.
Yeah. Do you have Chime on that list, by the way, Amit?
Do they have earnings today?
Yeah.
Okay, Chime Financial. This is wow, it's up 7% going into the print.
We'll see. Monday, you could buy this company under $17. Well, actually, almost under $16. It dropped so fast. So we'll see. This is their second ever quarterly report.
Yeah, I think the other thing that's important going into earnings is the trajectory of these new products. So as Roy and Tanner were talking about, prediction markets is a big deal. I think everyone is starting to realize that prediction markets are part of the culture of just any big event, whether it's the New York mayor election or sports events. So that as a product that can grow into $1 billion business one day, I think that's going to be really important for management to talk about. Credit card now is like 450,000 people. I think over 3 million people on the wait list. So the whole banking ecosystem, that's important. We just had Hood Summit in September. All of us got to meet a bunch of you guys there. Cortex AI, Robinhood Social. I mean, there's a lot of different verticals I think they have ready to tap into for 2026. So I would also be curious to see how they talk about the growth of their latest products, futures, index options, all the different things they shipped this year, which I think is well over 15 different products. And then how that bleeds into what's going to happen in 26, regardless of if it's a super bull market or if it's, casual, or even if it's a bear market. How do they position the company going forward in the future? And I think that's what a lot of people will care about. Also, it's going to be live in the Bay Area. They're doing it at the Chase Stadium. They announced it this morning. I will not be there. I'm not in California. None of us are. But they are still going to have a live earnings call. And so it'll be fun to kind of see them do the NBA press conference type of earnings. Not sure why NVIDIA is going down. It is getting hit right here as we get into the end of the day. Wow, 2% down on NVIDIA. I don't see any headline. Tanner, do you know?
No, I have not been following, but I still like, while the crash is happening, I'm like, oh no, 195.
Yeah, this is the thing, right? It's like this thing was stuck at 170 for the past 3 weeks, and now we're mad it's from 200 to 195. It's just like, it's that part of the end of the year where we're trying to get those final numbers in the last 2 months, but it's okay if these names don't end at all-time highs. It's not a horrible thing.
Yeah, I don't know exactly why Nvidia is falling today, but I know with Palantir, afterwards there was a lot of headlines like that maybe AI is overhyped and Palantir is falling as a result and everything because they had an amazing quarter. And I've seen that translate to several other AI names, including Nvidia, which, I mean, it's like levels not seen since like a week ago. So, oh no.
Yeah, it's the thing about when the stock goes up, it's like, well, when it goes down, even if it was probably going up for whatever reason, it will go down for whatever reason. And ultimately, we have to digest that. There was a headline with Google right here that was really important. This is from Bloomberg. Apple is finalizing a deal to pay Google about $1 billion a year to integrate its 1.2 trillion parameter Gemini AI model into Siri. That would be a pretty big deal. We've heard a lot of rumors about Apple and Google working together. It looks like Apple is potentially going with Gemini over ChatGPT to really establish a meaningful framework for Siri to expand. And that's why Google stock's up a little bit. But it just further goes to show that this stock that was stuck at 150 for the majority of the year really ended up working out. Google right there at 284.
I'm seeing a tweet here. NVIDIA tumbles after reports suggest major cloud providers are scaling back GPU orders for 2025. Oh, yeah, right. That exact thing.
Okay, that's the Bloomberg. That would do it. I mean, that would be enough of a headline. Well, hold on. What about Iran?
And that's actually not what I read, by the way. I read something on X. So exact same headline, by the way.
Yeah, it's a little weird that Iran is just pumping and Nvidia is falling on news that you would think would hit both of them. So,
or a Nebius, right? Yeah, I mean that would hit every data center play that's out there. So I'm not sure if it's that accurate.
Note major cloud providers scaling back. The neo clouds are coming in to take all those GPUs.
Yeah, so that, and if the major cloud providers aren't buying any more GPUs, they might not be giving these deals to the neo cloud providers. So it has to have an impact on those guys, right?
Here's the thing. We've seen so many of these reports happen. Microsoft scaling back, Google scaling back. We've seen all of this. Until I hear it from any of those companies' mouths, I do not believe them. Sources say has been the biggest source of fake news that has been reported on from Reuters and Bloomberg and all of these. I don't believe it. If Jensen sees a pathway, and by the way, scaling back in 2020 or for GPU purchases in 2025, it's freaking November. What are we talking about? Like, we've seen Jensen just come out and say there's $500 billion runway over the next 6 quarters. You think they're like, oh, you know what? Let's stop buying right now for November and December. Okay.
Yeah, and like so far in the earnings season, like the entire earnings season is Nvidia's earnings season, just because you have major large cap tech that talk about their capital X expansion, not retraction. So I would put a lot more credence in that versus sources, whoever the sources are.
Yeah,
could be Michael Burry.
All right, folks, here we go. We got 30 seconds until this market closes. Once again, me, Roy, and Tanner are very, very grateful to be on the journey with everybody. And we just thank you for being along with us over the past couple of years, consuming the content. And Robinhood has changed all of our lives. I imagine it's changed a lot of people's lives here in the chat. And today is another quarter where we get to see the company continue to progress. Wednesday, November 5th, 4 p.m., the stock market is now closed. All right, here we go. We will be getting results in the next couple of minutes. Tanner, Roy, and I will be refreshing our screens to see what we get. Again, the other companies that we have on deck: Duolingo, AppLovin, Qualcomm, IONQ, Elf, Fortinet, DoorDash, Joby, Lyft, Dutch Bros, HubSpot, Centrus Energy, and Novix, Honest, Figma, Snap, and Chime. So those are also going to be all the companies
You got FICO in there? Make sure you get FICO in there as well. That's going to be a big one.
Across the board, I think we have 5 minutes till Hood. And so I'll see if we can get any earnings before Hood. But these are the numbers we are looking at. Pump or dump in the chat. 65% of people said pump. All right. Crowd's going pump. And now we're going to see these numbers. Do I have ARM on the list?
You have ARM, you have FICO.
Big one. Okay, ARM's going to be important. That's another semiconductor name. That is also one of the names reporting today.
Do you have FICO on there?
Do we have Qualcomm? I think we have Qualcomm.
Can you hear me right now?
We have it. Yes. Qualcomm adjusted EPS, $3 versus $2.88. That's a beat. Revenue $11.27 billion versus $10.7. That's a beat. Qualcomm is green. Kind of.
Can you add FICO to the list, Amit?
But Tanner, were you saying anything?
Yes, bro.
Oh, shit. I'm sorry. Dude, I think my thing was muted. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Is FICO on that list?
Oh, yeah. FICO's on the list. Yeah. Wait, is it? No, it's not.
You got to add FICO. That's a big one.
My bad.
I was like, this guy muted me or something.
No, I didn't mute you. I muted my own computer. That's the issue. Sorry. Okay, Qualcomm beat. So Qualcomm, you got to beat top and the bottom. That stock after hours is down 2%. It's a good beat, though. It's a good beat. Duolingo, I know that's a big one up. That's down. It's down. It's trying to go up. Duolingo down. It was down 5. Now it's still down 5. Well, it's down 3. It's like going back and forth. Yeah, as you can see that little green counter right there. But that one is getting hit after hours. Qualcomm, again, they did beat EPS. They did beat revenue. Guidance, they're doing 330 to 350. Estimates was 326. That's also a beat. And revenue 11.8 to 12.6. That's also a beat. Street wanted 11.59. That's a quadruple beat across the board on guidance, EPS, and revenue, which is not too bad. Hood, do we have it yet? Do we have it? Not yet. Should be in 2 minutes. We get Hood. ARM moving?
ARM is up 9%.
Okay, looks like ARM had a beat. Let me pull this up. Let's see. Qualcomm again, big beat. ARM, don't have ARM numbers yet, but Qualcomm again beat on the top and the bottom by 5%. Duolingo, DAUs are up 36% year over year. Revenues up 41% year over year. Profitability continues to expand. I believe Duolingo beat on the top and the bottom as well. ARM, we have 39 cents versus 33 cents. That's a beat. Duolingo 271 versus 260. That's a beat on revenue.
Duolingo turned green, up 6%, 5%.
Boom.
Nice.
There you go.
Congrats to holders.
Yeah.
Okay, so Duolingo going green. ARM and Qualcomm, I mean, semiconductor names, not doing bad at all. These are really good beats. There's Duolingo right there. Wow, EPS. If that's not wrong, 683% beat.
What is going on there?
That might be a typo. 595. Yeah, that might be a typo. If it's not, $5 of EPS, I don't think they did. If they did,
I'm also seeing Wall Street expecting $1.24. So the estimate looks.
Yeah, that number might be a little off. But Duolingo is going green right here. This is ARM, 39 cents versus 33 cents, 1.1 versus 1.06, beat by 7%. ARM revenue's up 34%. EPS is up 30%. It's a beat by 18% on EPS. Again, we're getting a lot of good top and bottom line beats, which is not bad to see. Jensen just said China will win the AI race with the US to the Financial Times. That might be the reason why NVIDIA was dumping. Obviously, Jensen wants to sell into China, and Trump kind of...
Food delivered directly to the door. Let's go, man.
Oh, okay. Robinhood's down. Robinhood's down. There's a red candle right there. We got a red candle immediately. Then it's now the red candle is not... It went from 140 to 137 for a second. Again, Trump kind of said that he didn't want to sell those NVIDIA chips. So that's why Jensen probably said that about China. Don't have the Hood numbers yet.
Hood down 2.6.
It is indeed red. We can see if
Okay, I got the numbers. 61 cents of EPS, 1.27 billion. They double beat.
Oh my gosh.
Revenue is up 100% year over year. EPS is up 260% year over year.
Nice.
Okay.
I don't know how they do it, man. The stock can do whatever they want.
Goodness gracious, dude. Oh my goodness.
Revenue's up 29% quarter over quarter.
Dude, we thought it was going to be hard for them to get 1.274.
Oh my gosh.
Again, you gotta look past the stock price when you see these types of numbers and be like, goodness gracious, 61 cents versus that means their operating leverage probably got even better this quarter for like the 8th consecutive quarter in a row.
I wonder what contributed to that. That's like almost 150 million above what my estimates were. So
Duolingo down 13%.
Bro, what?
Oh, it went from red to green
to deep red.
To deep red. Elf Beauty down 20%.
What?
Elf is down 20%.
Okay, Elf is a consumer play, so that's a little. We got to really see what they said about makeup. Duolingo, they got a bad narrative on them with AI. AppLovin, that's up 4%. Qualcomm's still up 2%. IONQ's up after hours with earnings.
AppLovin, very slight double beat. A beat on EPS by 3%, beat on revenue by 5%.
Okay, let me get some coverage on Hood. I think I got this right here. Let me pull this up, and then we'll try to get the actual slides and the numbers.
Posted earnings of 61 cents a share above the 53 cents that analysts expected, and revenue of 1.27 billion versus the 1.19 billion estimate. Transaction-based revenue that was a little bit light at 730 million, despite record trading volume in equities and options. But that shortfall was offset by strong gains in net interest income. Now, funded accounts also a slight miss at 26.8 million. Meantime, a C-suite shakeup. New CFO Shiv Verma is taking over for Jason Warnick. I spoke to them both moments ago. They pointed to prediction markets as a major.
That could be the reason the street likes Jason Warnick. It's not a bad thing that he's stepping down, but if he is stepping down for whatever reason he is, we always see knee-jerk reactions by the street when there's a C-suite shakeup.
Bright spot, calling it their fastest growing business ever. Contract volume doubled in Q3 versus the second quarter. And in October alone, they saw more trading than the entire prior quarter. They say that
in October alone, they saw more trading than the entire quarter. I mean, that's going to be, they're setting up for a strong Q4, and that's going to be a hard comp to beat as well. Goodness.
Momentum is strong heading into Q4 with record customer deposits and activity. Those shares, though, more than 4.5% lower now, Morgan.
All right. Mackenzie, thank you. Mike.
We don't have the numbers yet. This is the best I have. We don't have the press release.
No. The press release is both the presentation and the press release are out.
Okay, hold on.
I can send that to you over X.
Yes, please do. Please do.
Yeah, for me too.
Oh, sorry.
Canadians get it early.
Yeah.
Duolingo's down 20%, by the way.
Bro, $210 a share on Duolingo. Oh my gosh. I've been trading a lot. I don't know. Maybe I gotta pick up a couple Duolingo shares.
Yeah, I'll have to take a look.
All right, let me read through this. Here we go. Revenue up 100% year over year, 1.27 billion. Net deposits were a record 20 billion. Dude, I think the most they've ever done is 13 billion. Oh my, 7 billion increase on net deposits. Robinhood Gold subscribers record 3.9 million. EPS 61 cents. Robinhood now up to 11 business lines generating 100 million or more in annualized revenues. Here we go. Our team's relentless product velocity drove record business results in Q3, and we're not slowing down. Prediction markets are growing rapidly. Robinhood Banking is starting to roll out, and Robinhood Ventures is coming, said Vlad. Q3 was another strong quarter of profitable growth, and we continue to diversify our business, adding 2 or more business lines, prediction markets, and Bitstamp that are generating approximately 100 million or more in annualized revenues. And Q4 is off to a strong start in October with record monthly trading volumes across equities, options, prediction markets, and futures, and new highs for margin balances. Net revenues again 1.27 billion, transactions 730, net interest 456. I think that's their highest ever, or close to their highest. Other revenues 88 million. Net income 556 million. So 556 out of the 1.27 billion was pure profit. Adjusted EBITDA 177%. Funded customers 26.8 million. Assets, 333 billion. It's pretty big. Net deposits, 20.4. Again, that is just incredible. ARPU is at $191 a user. Gold subscribers up by almost 2 million, 3.9 million total. They have 4.3 billion in cash. They bought a million shares of their stock at $104. So they spent 107 million buying their stock. And so you had about a million shares with the share buybacks. October net deposits were 5.5 billion. Margin up 150% to 16 billion, which is similar to what we've heard from FINRA, right? That margin loans are at their highest levels ever across every brokerage. Equity volumes 320 billion. I don't think I've ever seen a number in 1 month at 320.
My
right,
gosh.
guys? I don't think we've ever seen that. Options, guys, 260 million. I think the most we've seen is like 195. Crypto volumes 32 billion, and crypto was bad in October. Like Bitcoin and Ethereum were not doing the best. So that's incredible. Okay, that's what you got. CFO Jason Warnick announced his intention to retire next year. Jason will transition from his role as CFO in Q1 and be a strategic advisor. That could be why the stock is dumping, just that the CFO is retiring. But that's what you got. Roy, your kind of raw thoughts of these numbers.
I mean, yeah, ridiculous. Expectations were high from analysts and also from us, and they still beat it. This is a company that executes fundamentally. They're firing on all cylinders. A lot of future growth levers too. And I agree with you, like that probably, maybe it's some of it, a lot of it was priced in. You could be priced to perfection, and maybe that's the case. But it's not uncommon when the CFO of a company leaves that there is a dip afterwards. I've actually seen that more often than when the CEO leaves, just because CFO is a critical role. And sometimes, which will not be the case for Robinhood, there's people like, oh, they're leaving, so it must be something that's really bad that's out there. Well, I don't think that's the case. I think this has always been the plan. Jason's amazing, and I wish him well in whatever he has in the future. But yeah, it's a very talented group, so no concerns there.
Guys, real quick, Snapchat's up 15%. Chime is up 5%, over $20 a share. Qualcomm down 3.5%. ARM up 3.8%. Elf down 17%. DoorDash down 16%. These are huge moves.
Here's some coverage on Snap.
And has those numbers for us. Hi, Julia.
Hey, Snap share is soaring. Stock now is up about 15% in after-hours trading as the company's revenue beat expectations, $1.51 billion versus the $1.49 billion estimated, with 1 million more daily active users than anticipated. The company's earnings per share loss of 6 cents isn't comparable to expectations, but adjusted EBITDA of $182 million did top estimates of $125 million. Snap announcing a $500 million stock repurchase program and also guiding to fourth quarter revenue in a range with a midpoint just ahead of analyst expectations, also guiding to Q4 EBITDA in a range well ahead of the consensus estimates. Snap also announcing a partnership with Perplexity to bring its AI chatbot into Snapchat. Perplexity is paying Snap $400 million over the course of the year. Snap did warn, though, that they expect daily active users to decline in the fourth quarter, as they also said that their investments in AI and machine learning are delivering measurable gains for advertisers. Shares now up about.
You're muted. You're muted.
Sorry, I was saying Perplexity is paying them $400 million. Like, what, in a year? Perplexity doesn't even make $400 million in revenue. How is that possible? Like,
Dude,
like
that's
why the
22%.
Yeah, I would imagine that's why it's up. But like, how the hell is Perplexity affording? They only do like 50 million in revenue, but Snapchat right there beat by 50% and then beat by 1% on revenue. And that's why it's getting a hit. Here's a couple of the other ones that we had, including DoorDash and Elf.
Top line revenue did beat at 3.45 billion versus 3.36 expected. EPS missed 55 cents versus 69 cents expected. And there's a wrinkle here in what DoorDash is leading investors to think about going forward. First, to give you a couple more numbers, total orders were up 21% year on year to $776 million versus $770 million expected. So the core business looking solid. Marketplace GOV up 25% year on year, also a little bit better than expected. But two near-term hits to profitability to look out for. DoorDash warning in the release here, robotics, software, and a common platform across DoorDash, Deliveroo, and Volt. They're going to be investing in that. They say, quote, we currently expect to invest several $100 million more in new initiatives and platform development in 2026 than we did in 2025. Also, they're going to invest a bit more in Deliveroo, that acquisition. They expect it to contribute approximately $45 million to adjusted EBITDA in Q4 2025.
All right, so that's what you got on DoorDash. A lot of these consumer companies are taking the hit right here, which is why their stocks are down. Figma, by the way, 100% beat on EPS, 10 cents versus 5 cents expected, 274 versus 263 million in revenues. Figma is flat. I mean, it's up 1%, but nothing too crazy. Duolingo, do any of you guys have a reason why it's down 20%? To 11.
No.
I took a look. I didn't see anything. There was, it looks like that EPS number might have been right, but there was like a one-time adjustment that I don't fully understand. It was a footnote. I'm not seeing anything that stands out to me why it would be down this much.
Yeah, that is a bit weird.
Did you guys get the presentation for Hood?
Do you? I don't
Yes.
have it yet.
I sent it to you. It's worth going over. These are crazy numbers, dude.
100%. I've been waiting for it to update. Yeah, it's still not updated on my. Okay, you sent it on Twitter. Let me.
Yeah.
It should also be in your email too.
Okay, cool.
Oh my gosh, man.
Yeah, this is really strong. This is probably their best earnings.
Dude,
honestly.
the rule of 40? Take a guess, Amit. What's the rule of 40?
Okay, Tanner, you did not send it on Twitter. I don't see it.
Yes, I did. It's
No,
in
you
the group.
No, you didn't.
Oh, sorry. I'll try again. It didn't send properly.
Honest down 8%. Snapchat increased free cash flow 538%. HubSpot down 16%. Fortinet, it looks like we got to be on the top and bottom. Dutch Bros also looks like they got to beat. AppLovin beat by 3% on EPS, beat by 5% on revenue. And Fortinet, this is cybersecurity. Lyft, by the way, beat by 57% on EPS, beat by 1% on, or missed by 1% on revenue. DoorDash missed by 19% on EPS, 3% on revenue, and then Elf missed revenue by 6%. Fortinet beat by 17% on EPS and 1% on revenue.
Okay, guess what the rule of 40 is for Hood?
100?
I sent it to you, by the way.
100? Or 95? 95 to 100?
131.
Oh my goodness. That is
131, bro.
Yeah.
I think that's the highest I've ever seen.
that is the highest I've ever seen. Wow, there you go, 131.
Yeah, it beats NVIDIA, it beats Palantir, and those both have insane numbers. And by the way, all-time high on transaction-based revenues and net interest revenues as well, and nearly the all-time high on other revenues. So pretty good.
Okay, so transaction 730. They did 268 in equity, 304 options, 86 in equity, 304 in options, 268 in crypto. So it's still really good quarter over quarter. This is their highest they've ever done in transactions, it looks like. Highest ever, 72 million in other. Net interest, high. I think, yeah, it's the first time they broke 400. Credit card did 17, cash sweep 64. Margin, look at that, dude, 114 to 153 on margin.
Yeah, we saw, of course, we see the October numbers now, but like the prior 2 months were just insane margin acceleration. We're seeing that on other platforms too, but Robinhood is killing it. And their idea to, I think it was a year ago, where they said, we're going to take lower rates, we're going to lower these rates and gain market share. They've done that. By the way, there is a market share slide on slide 13, which is really cool too.
Yeah, that is a great slide.
Okay, so equities market share, they're estimating they have 1.07% of the market. Crypto market share, they have 1.08, which is up 100%. Equities up 138%. This is over the past 3 years from 22. Options, 7.5%. That's up 68%. Margin, Less than 1%, but that's up 55%, which means all of these are not really penetrated yet. And that's the growth story on Robinhood. I mean, if these all get to like 10% over the next decade, and I feel like that's being very conservative, to be honest. Like,
yeah,
they're going to be doing billions and billions of dollars of revenue every single quarter.
I just went through their operating expenses. For the most part, it did stay flat. It definitely, margins did expand. Yeah, this is such an insane business.
Slide 14 is interesting to me on that last column, the crypto notional volumes. They helpfully break out Bitstamp there. That's, I don't know, maybe I was just off, but that's higher than I expected for Bitstamp too. So I'm curious if Robinhood is able to do what they're usually able to do with acquisitions, where they don't just integrate them well, but they also accelerate them. So something to keep an eye on.
Hood is back over 140. I really do think that initial decline had to do with the CFO leaving. Every time a C-suite that the street knows about is stepping down, it immediately is interpreted as bad, and the dude might just be moving on to a different point of his life. But I think that's why you had the initial. I mean, dude, can anyone in the chat tell me a reason this stock should even kind of be down after these numbers, outside of just the market being the market?
100%. We come in as very bullish investors with high expectations for this name. This beat, I think, all of our expectations once again. And whenever you do that constantly, quarter after quarter after quarter, that's why it deserves a higher multiple than other companies in their, sector.
Correct. And if a company has given you constant, at this point, years of proving they can beat expectations, and not just beat them, but really beat them, that's where you got to just, give them a premium. And it is okay sometimes to pay that premium because you're buying a generational company. Slide 18 is showing 11 lines of businesses doing 100 million or more. So this quarter, they added prediction markets and Bitstamp. They have securities lending, gold subscription, instant withdrawals, cash sweep, margin, crypto, margin, interest, equities trading, and options trading over the course of 2019. So 6 years.
Remember, they bought Bitstamp for $200 million.
And now it's
so essentially they said they got a 2 price to sales on that, and that's without them growing that business at all, or the technology that they're also acquiring from it as well. Their ability to acquire good businesses is just incredible.
Yeah, well, it's super incredible because it's one thing to just get a good price, and be able to find something that fits in your ecosystem, but also to integrate it well. That's a challenge for a lot of businesses, and also to accelerate that is also another challenge. They are masters of all three. They're ridiculous here. And that's like the most exciting thing is that slide, that continuous growth. They continue to unlock more and more TAM every single year. Some is built in-house, some is through partnerships, and some is through acquisition. Doesn't matter. They excel across all of those. They're a generational company.
And they're buying back shares. Like I have not seen a company before that can grow at this level, have this type of operating leverage, and give money back to shareholders at this. You're supposed to buy back shares when you're like a big old like legacy company, right? The Robinhood is in the inflection of its growth, and they're actually buying back their stock, which goes to show how much flexibility they have with their balance sheet. Which is another.
If I could also add, for some reason somehow, I don't know, but whenever they go to buy back shares, it's always at such an amazing price for the quarter. Like they just know what the bottom is before we do.
Yeah, bro.
They must have some people there that are pretty good investors and traders. I don't know,
Yeah.
Dude, they got it at 104. I mean, that's right. That's probably right before the S&P 500 run also took it much higher than 104.
I did, by the way, figure out why it's down. I think one of the top voted questions was asking for a dividend because having the best performing stock in the S&P 500 is clearly not enough. And so no 1 cent dividend for everybody. And so that's the reason for the initial drop.
That makes sense.
To be.
All right, real quick before we get back to Hood, Elf. I know that one's getting hit. Let's just look at their earnings real quick.
Short of the estimates, you can see a big drop there too. Shares are currently down 16%. Its guidance for earnings and revenue both well short of the current consensus. The company noting that gross margins decreased 165 basis points, and that was driven by higher tariff costs.
Well, don't look now, but ARM Holdings earnings out as well. Beat on earnings and revenue. The company says it saw royalty revenue growth in all.
Okay, so Elf is a tariff issue, I guess, guys. Elf seems to be a tariff issue. It's one of the first major consumer brands that said their tariffs are affecting them. And I guess that's why it's getting hit.
Axon also was a tariff issue. That was the big concern as well.
Here's Vlad, Robinhood video on earnings. Here we go.
Hey, everyone. I'm here in our offices getting ready for our Q3 2025 earnings call, streaming live from the Chase Center in San Francisco. Here's a quick rundown. Q3 was another record quarter driven by our continued relentless product velocity. Revenues doubled from last year to a record high. EPS also more than tripled at the same time. And we made great progress across our three strategic pillars. First, for active traders, we set records for equity and options trading volumes in Q3. Margin account balances tripled over the past 18 months to a record high. And our prediction markets are ripping with over 2 billion event contracts traded in Q3 alone. Not only that, October was even bigger than all of Q3 combined. And we've added contracts for pro and college football, entertainment, politics, economics, technology, and so much more. This is really becoming a comprehensive offering, not just for traders, but also a brand new source of information. We're not slowing down here. At Hood Summit, we unveiled powerful new tools like Robinhood Social. Also, AI-driven custom indicators and scanners powered by Robinhood Cortex. Very exciting. As well as shorting and multiple individual brokerage accounts. Robinhood Legend also continuing to grow. We really like what we're seeing there. Remember, we started basically from zero on active traders for web, and we think there's a ton more market share to be gained here. And this is all part and parcel of our approach to active trading. We want to make it a no-brainer to use Robinhood, and increasingly so, we think you'll be at a disadvantage using any other platform. All right, second, on the wallet share front, we want to be your primary and secondary financial account, and we're making a lot of progress. We're seeing strong momentum in total platform assets, with $1/3 trillion now held at Robinhood. Customers are loving our long-term investing products. Both Robinhood Retirement and Robinhood Strategies are ramping up super nicely. Plus, we're rapidly shipping gold cards to more customers, and we've begun to roll out for Robinhood Banking as well. Third, last but not least, we're expanding globally as we build the #1 global financial ecosystem. Tokenization has been a big accelerant to our global expansion, and you might see in this chalkboard here from our European event, in Europe, we're continuing to execute on our roadmap, and we more than doubled the number of stock tokens available to our customers. We also rolled out perpetual futures. And in the US, we're excited to bring access to private companies to retail shareholders through Robinhood Ventures. Plenty more to come there. There's a lot more to share, so check out our full results at investors.robinhood.com and tune into our earnings live stream in all the usual spots, including directly in the Robinhood app, which will be very fun. See you all soon.
I mean, dude, it's a hell of a quarter. It's a hell of a quarter. Robinhood right there, 140. I know the stock is flat right here, but my goodness, that was incredible. 3Q monthly active users, 13.8 million versus 13.31. So you have an increase on the MAUs, which is important. Julian, thank you for the super chat, man. Really appreciate it. Congrats to all Hood holders. We're going higher in the years to come. Julian, he's been watching all three of us since Hood was like 10, 15 bucks, and he's been loading up over the past couple of years. And, you know, really anyone who's just taken a shot, whether it was 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, if you bought at 104 when Robinhood bought 30 days ago, 90 days ago, you know, it is done incredibly well. But the quarter, that was a hell of a quarter by Hood.
I am still just plugging numbers. So I'll have a lot to show you guys before we actually see the call. This is crazy. Give me like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking through, and there's not much in the way of weak spots. A little bit of acceleration as far as expense on general administration. Of course, contra revenues it's pretty stable. The float's pretty stable. They did mention, you know, what they have as far as amortized matching revenues, contra revenues over the next 4 years, but it's really strong.
Dude, even the contra revenues, that was the big issue during this time last year. And it kind of messed up my earnings estimates because I didn't fully understand the accounting stuff behind it. But that has been a nothing burger. And what the contra revenues are then basically paying back for bringing assets onto the platform. They've given a lot of money to people, 2-3% matches to get them to come onto the platform. It seems like it's really working because they are able to have these massive earnings beats against increased expectations, even with paying the contra revenue. And it goes to show that bringing people onto the platform allows them to cross-sell into the network effect that Hood has.
Go to slide 41, please. That is insane. This is something that we saw beginning to tick up last quarter. They broke it down and looking at the securities lending, and you can see last quarter they had 54 million, previously 87 million this time for securities lending. You combine that and the interest on cash collateral for margin-based securities, 173 million, up 193% year over year, 54% change sequentially. That's insane. Insane.
Yeah, this and margin were the two big ones in their net interest revenue that I just margins up 150%. Do that, they gave them an extra $40 million in one quarter. And if this bull market continues, which I think given the earnings growth we saw from big tech, there's a good shot it continues. People are going to continue to borrow money, and if rates come down, people are going to continue to borrow money at cheaper rates. And as a result, their margin profile, against Schwab and Fidelity should be very competitive, given I think they do have the lowest rates in the industry. And that potentially brings over a lot more bigger accounts onto the platform. Here's Lyft earnings as well, and then we'll get back to Hood.
Can't hear anything.
Let me reshare. That is weird. Okay.
Jed, Mike, thanks to you both. Lyft earnings are out. Stocks down. Mackenzie Sagalis has the numbers. Matt.
Hey, John, it is mixed results for Lyft. Those shares moving almost 5% lower in extended trade. Earnings coming in at 11 cents per share, beating the 8 cents that analysts were looking for. Revenue was essentially in line at $1.69 billion. Gross bookings, that's the total value of rides on the platform, were a slight beat at $4.78 billion. Active riders also came in ahead of estimates at 28.7 million, while profitability, it was in line with adjusted EBITDA of 139 million. Looking ahead to Q4, Lyft is guiding to gross bookings between 5.01 billion and 5.13 billion, above expectations at the midpoint. And then the company expects adjusted EBITDA of 135 million to 155 million, with that midpoint roughly matching street estimates. Stock, though, in sell-off mode, around 4.5% lower now. John?
It's not alone. Mackenzie, thank you. Well, coming up, instant reaction to Qualcomm's results.
Okay, so I think the big story of the day is this ELF thing, down 30%. Bad and Duolingo seem to be the ones that got absolutely wrecked today.
Fair Isaac is down 9.5%. Like
really?
You don't see moves like that on FICO.
That's not good.
Dude, the last time we saw that was 5 months ago, and they recovered a decent chunk since then.
Like Snapchat's up 22%. You don't really see green on Snapchat. No, I'm kidding.
No, but you don't. You're right. I don't know why the stock is up. They said DAUs are going to be down. Is
the Perplexity? It's 100% the Perplexity news. Like they just made their quarter.
Perplexity doesn't have $400 million.
Well, I mean, they're trying to accelerate adoption, and so they're doing a lot of spin to do that. We'll see if it works. But with Snapchat, this is probably going to be the same thing as we saw with PayPal's earnings, where PayPal had posted good, respectable earnings, but it was similar to quarter two, and I didn't figure we'd get much of a pop. But they announced the OpenAI partnership at the same time. We saw the big pop, and then it faded. I would guess Snapchat goes the same direction. Just a guess.
It's very possible. Chime is doing okay as well. Again, I agree. I guess the Perplexity partnership, they have the money, and there's going to be a way for them to fuel Snapchat's overall revenue. Again, Snapchat only does about $4 billion a year, so Perplexity is giving them $400 million. I mean, that's a really big amount, so I can understand why the stock is up right now. Robinhood back up green, 142. What do you think about gut reaction? I see a lot of people in the chat saying this. Is ELF a recession indicator? Do you think that's why this one's getting hit as bad?
I mean, I think that it has been in the past for this type of sector, but this is more of a story of tariffs where it's not fully resolved yet. And until it is, it's a headwind over certain companies, actually a lot of companies, but a really big one for ELF specifically. So I would be more interested in what the FICO actually results are there as an indicator of potential, maybe not recession yet, but some weakness in the consumer. that one will be an interesting one to go through.
Do you guys want to look at some numbers or?
Yeah, do it. Let's do it.
Okay. I don't have everything plugged just yet, but I've got the main stuff, and then we can take a look at gold members and such. So as you can see, net revenue came in up year over year by 99.8%. Okay. Transaction-based revenue was up 57%. Net interest revenue was up 35. Oh, wait a second. Oh, okay. Wait, sorry. That was percentage of revenue. I was like, what the heck? Year over year. Sorry. Let's do that again. Transaction-based revenue was up 128.8%. Net interest revenue was up 66%. Other revenue was up 100%. Options saw a 50% increase year over year. Cryptocurrency saw a 340% increase year over year compared to this quarter. Sorry. And equities, 132%. That we ended up seeing a massive boom in. And then other transaction-based revenue, which does include event contracts, we saw it increase 280%. 72 million was seen in that revenue line item. Margin increased a ton. Securities lending, like Roy said, this was spectacular. 360% increase year over year. Credit cards, obviously, really starting to roll now. No longer putting up the $4 million quarters. We're starting to see some real numbers. $17 million on credit cards. If we end up looking at their expenses only grew 31% year over year. Revenue grew 100% year over year. The actual charges for that only grew 31%. So now operating expenses only make up for 50% of revenue. That was 76% last year. Like, this is incredible.
I don't think like the type of operating leverage we're seeing here is screaming two things to me. Number one, it's a generational company. Number two, this is going to $1 trillion one day. Like, you don't see this type of operating leverage in companies that don't end up becoming absolute behemoths over their lifetime.
Looking at trading volumes here, we end up seeing the take rate. So the equity take rate was in line with last quarter. Options actually went down by just a cent, but that's what I guided for anyway. And then crypto, look at this, 0.67. It raised by 10 basis points.
That's how they combated the October volatility. Wow.
Isn't that insane? So don't mind my numbers here. They don't mean much. That's just for, my own sake. But Bitstamp.
On that, before you go further, part of the crypto take rate and the reason why it increases, there may be some intentionality on that too, but they don't give the discount unless you have very large volumes of crypto that you're trading. And so in a slower quarter, we shouldn't be surprised to see the take rate tick up from a quarter that was a little bit more aggressive in the prior quarter. Maybe not that much though.
And by the way, that's 6.7. And for all the adults in the chat, I know you don't know what's going on in the chat, but don't even worry about it. That 6.7 is still less than Coinbase at 1.5. So it's still a great bargain, even if it's not at 0.58.
I didn't plug assets or AUC per user, but that went up to over 12,000 something. Like it raised by 2,000 this quarter. So we saw a massive increase. Let me just switch this as well. Look at average revenue per user here in a sec. I just need to push this out slightly. Q3 ended up going to $191 for average revenue per user, while the total amount of users still increased. $191 per user. Don't worry about this gap section. That's just, that's just this. But where did my sheet go? Sorry, here.
Tanner, let me get. We got Tom Lee on right now, so let me get back to you in like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
We'll get to more of the numbers.
Here in Bitcoin and really across the crypto landscape today. But yesterday, as Katie Stockton over at Fairlead pointed out, Bitcoin broke below its 200-day moving average. I know she's watching some technicals there pretty closely. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense to watch the technicals for Bitcoin. As you know, Bitcoin is very sensitive to market liquidity and also perceptions about risk appetite and risk premia. And, over the past couple of weeks, I think there have been headwinds building, right? From the government shutdown to a hawkish Fed cut that was done last month and uncertainty about December. And as you know, with the shutdown, Treasury liquidity, the Treasury general account's actually been building cash. So I think all of these created a cascade of problems that put pressure on crypto. But hopefully, as you know, headwinds become tailwinds when you can resolve these things.
Yeah, I want to hone in because I'm not even talking enough about it, but that funding stress we've seen in SOFR, I know there was data that was put out on Monday showing just a huge drop in that secured overnight financing rate on Halloween from the day before. Should we be paying closer attention to that and what that's meant in terms of the liquidity picture across asset classes?
Well, people definitely pay attention, Morgan, because one, as you know, that can often be an early sign of stress, but it also takes place when there's window dressing. So and banks are doing window dressing at the end of month. So I am kind of watching it, but I think those funding stresses have eased, and of course, it hasn't spilled over and reflected in what should be building stress in either credit markets or in bank equities. And so I would just say that it's an anomaly and it may be due to the shutdown. But yeah, it's worth watching.
Okay. Just the fact that we have had this deleveraging event, if you will, in Bitcoin. I mean, what do you watch to know that that's washed out? And I guess perhaps just as importantly, has this been playing out the way it has previously in the market?
Yeah, in some ways. I mean, I think we have to go back to two different episodes. 2022 when FTX collapsed, and then in 2020 when we had the COVID shock. And in both cases, those were really widespread deleveraging events in crypto, because as you know, in crypto, there is typically a lot of leverage. The October 10th deleveraging was the biggest in history. And that means there are still ripple effects being felt even 2 weeks later. There has been a DeFi protocol streamer that actually reported a pretty sizable loss, and that created further ripple effects. And that's what happened yesterday, along with this thing called the balancer hack. So I'd say it's probably still a couple of more weeks. The good news is there aren't a lot of bodies floating to the surface, so it doesn't feel systematic, but it's going to take some time for confidence to come back. And I think that's why crypto took it so hard in the last couple of weeks.
Got it. So what's the read-through to stocks, specifically the QQQ or the NASDAQ 100? We know there's always been this very strong, or in more recent years, a strong correlation between the two.
Yeah, and the linkages are growing because, as you know, like market makers actually trade both products. And I think in general, people get nervous because part of it is stocks have been up 6 months in a row. And we have to keep in mind that in October, we had the wobble in the first half before markets found their footing. I wouldn't be surprised if people are just pausing here and saying, look, we still have the shutdown. We've had 6 months in a row, stocks are up. Markets are overbought, and they get a little nervous. But let's say that just means a wobble in the first half of November. Since 1928, 100 years of data, when markets have been up 6 months in a row, 5 or 6 times you build on those gains with an average gain of 3%. And in 1936, the market was flat. I'm sorry, 1942. So in other words, you either have a flat November or actually strong. It's actually a good sign we've been up for 6 months in a row.
Okay. Given all the focus there's been on stretched valuations, particularly tied to the AI trade, do you anticipate here then into the final weeks of the year that we're going to actually start to see this broaden out a bit?
Yeah, it makes sense. I think, we are doing more Zooms with institutional investors where they're talking about not 2026. So they're trying to position. And I mean, part of me would say, I think the Mag 7 and the AI stocks are still reasonably valued because they're growing at more than double-digit growth rates. And even NVIDIA, the biggest name and most important stocks, only at 29 times forward earnings. So they're not demanding. But there are plenty of stocks that have underperformed for 3 years, where their underperformance is so severe, you haven't seen it in 50 years. And so I think there is going to be some folks looking to buy mean reverting ideas. But I'd still say I like the AI I think there's a lot of visibility, and I think companies are starting to see payoffs. So it still makes sense to stick with it.
Okay, Tom Lee, thank
All right. Still relatively bullish on the equity markets, and obviously when crypto doesn't have this much leverage in the system at all. Okay, Tanner, we can go back to your charts. We got about 15 minutes until the call start, folks.
I during that time I was actually looking at Chime. So I didn't build out anything more, unfortunately. But looks like a good quarter from Chime. Active members ended up growing 21% year over year. Average revenue per user ended up climbing 6%. It's no SoFi. It's definitely no Robinhood.
Okay, well, let me go to this guy because a lot of people are probably wondering why Duolingo is down. So let's hear from the CEO on this.
This afternoon,
at odds. And part of my job has been always arbitrating between these two. If there's a trade-off to be made, kind of how do we make that trade-off? What we've been doing over the last couple of months is we are really shifting that trade-off to be much more towards user growth. Again, because what we want to do is we want to grow rapidly. I mean, we're growing daily active users at 36% year over year in this quarter. We want to continue growing rapidly for a long period of time. And we think that will allow us to just reach the full impact of this business, which is much larger than anything that we have right now. We have line of sight to be able to teach people in a way that is as good as a one-on-one tutor, and probably also more engaging than a one-on-one tutor. And if we're able.
Okay, so Duolingo CEO, it looks like the earnings were decent, but user growth is the core thing. I think they didn't guide for next quarter, and that's another reason the stock is getting hit, but they do have now more than 50 million people using it per day. Revenue's up 40% as well. There's got to be something here that's really getting the stock to get hit.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is. I know valuation is still not cheap, but it's growing, over 40% year over year in terms of top line revenue. So I don't know. At some point, it's going to become cheap, or it might already be there. So
Snapchat. Yeah. Go ahead, Tanner.
No, I was just going to say this is a far away from, $400, nearly $500 a share. Now being able to buy shares at $204, and yet more members, more revenue, more earnings.
Yeah, there's got to
be on Duolingo speaking.
There's got to be something they said in the earnings that is causing this reaction. I mean,
I think you said it's the guidance. I think that scares the crap out of people.
Yeah, especially if the company has been giving guidance on users forever, like Spotify does. If they stop, the question always becomes why. And they're not like a Netflix or a Facebook that has so many users that they don't need to anymore. There you go. Duolingo 205. That one's getting hit. 21%. Chime's up 13. Snapchat's still holding 20%. FICO now down 5. Honest down 10. Elf. This one's still ugly. I don't know if tariffs are enough to take it down 30%, especially when they beat on EPS. But I guess the guide, similar to Elf for 2026 going forward, maybe is not pretty. And that's why investors are taking it down. Elf did get to like 140 at one point during this year. So now it's coming back to life, or at least coming back down from where it was. And then Hoodie. I mean, dude, I know it's not up like crazy, but the fact that it's holding 141 is good enough for me. It's
oh my gosh, yes. Yeah, if any of the Robinhood team is literally watching right now, like you guys just saw the earnings post and you're like, wonder what the reaction is. I am a very, very proud shareholder. Thank you guys so much. Even I think a slide that I could see myself highlighting constantly is that market share slide. If markets turn red and total volume goes down, Robinhood will inevitably be hurt. But it's going to be this slide that says, okay, but how much market share are they gaining? Well, times are not that good. Okay. This is going to be a very important slide, and I'm so happy that they put this in.
Yeah, and that showcases, I mean, they're the four most important products, but they also have a lot more going on beyond this too. So yeah, they're just it's one of the reasons why when I was looking at Webull and I was looking at eToro and stuff and saying, hey, maybe bull market continues, these might be cheap and do well, but as I dug into it, I'm like, okay, there's no comparison to the quality in terms of the company and execution of Robinhood. Now it's priced more like it, but they continue to take share. It's impressive. And like if you look at their matching bonuses and everything, like those are pretty consistent. It's not like they're just basically paying people to use the platform and losing money on that. The cohorts that are coming in with that cohort side I love continue to get stronger and add money even once they get past that initial period where they have that matching bonus. So
you hear comments about October being stronger than most of the other quarters or most of the other months that they've seen. You would be surprised that the quarter's actually down on that news. It has to be about Jason Warnick. And like, I met Jason. Yeah. He's very, very strong person to have on your team. Like, he will be missed. I don't know the other person that they put in. I forget what his name was or their name. I don't remember who it was.
I think we saw this with Amcor last week. The CEO stepped down, stock fell, then the stock was up 17% a couple days ago. Like this happens. There's knee-jerk reactions. But when you hear, again, Robinhood doesn't do guidance, but they do say how the quarter is going. October's trading volume was better than the entire Q3. Let me say that again. October, the 1 month, was better than an entire quarter. That means November, December can be and they would still probably
it's free.
Have it's almost free.
So is this new CFO going to be on the call today?
No, I think Jason's stepping down Q1 of 26. He's stepping down.
Oh, okay. I didn't read that.
But it's Shiv Verma is the next CFO, which is right here. But we can. Oh, yeah, that's your slide. Okay. If you scroll up just a little bit though, you'll see the October numbers right above that.
Yeah, there it is, Roy. I'm showing your screen.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, and then again, $20 billion in deposits this quarter. Like, it is not easy to get money to come from all these other traditional financial institutions over into a new product and a new kid on the street like Hood. $20 billion in 3 months. I mean,
yeah, it's pretty crazy. I'm really in. So now that you guys have seen the numbers, what are your potential questions for Q3? Like, let's just imagine you weren't going to be on the call. What would you ask?
How does that make sense?
I'm just trying to get it out of you without asking you to
Everyone knows we're going to be on the call. We're going to ask a question on the call.
Yeah.
So
no, I know that. I'm just saying, what is the question?
Mine's on securities lending, and if we saw it increase dramatically. It was asked by a lot of analysts, so an analyst might beat me to the punch, and that's fine because but that is increasing extremely rapidly, and I'm curious if they see additional growth drivers in this, and also if this is sustainable. I think the answer will be yes and yes, but I'd like them to give a little color on that. So,
you know what my question was, and I still might ask it. But how do I understand the take rate for Bitstamp? That's my question. I know the volume. I know that's more of a Jason Warnick question than a Vlad question. I know you guys don't care, but as someone who's building these spreadsheets, it does make me, I hate that I know one number and I can't know the other number because we don't know what the crypto earnings are directly from Bitstamp. We know it's a 9-figure business, but yeah.
So if you ask that, you can make it kind of a two-parter, even though technically one question, but it's a big step up from, I think, expected volume. And so you might ask about that too.
By the way, 2.5 billion event contracts in Q3. Or sorry, October at 2.5 billion, which was 200 million more than the
Whoa, what?
25 million locked first month of the quarter. And you know what? Unlike the markets, November's going to be just as strong because like there was $100 million trading on Mamdani. There was 80 something million just on the championship baseball game. Wait, was that in October or the beginning of November? I think that was November 2nd or something, right?
Yeah, it was November. Yeah, November.
Yeah, those are huge contracts alone.
Dude, 2.5 billion. And shout out to Juan. Juan's been covering this on Twitter to help us understand it. 2.5 billion in October, 2.3 billion in all of Q3. So yeah, 25 million locked in revenue, which I don't know what the margin is on that, but I would imagine it's close to like 85, 90%. You can book it for October.
That's insane. Yeah, and Juan, he already had a huge shout out, but like if you guys care about Robinhood, Be sure to follow that guy. He's awesome.
The reason NVIDIA, by the way, is having some pain. So NVIDIA, Jensen told the Financial Times that China will overtake the U.S. in AI, citing lower energy costs and fewer regulations. He said Chinese tech firms benefit from government energy subsidies that make running AI systems cheaper, while the U.S. and U.K. lack optimism. He made the remarks at a summit in London. Obviously, Jensen is doing what he needs to do to get Trump to get him to be able to sell to China. But he's definitely doing it in a way that's more fear-based. And I don't know if Trump is necessarily going to agree with that approach. I also don't know if China is actually going to surpass the US in AI, but then again, it's Jensen, and he probably knows a little bit about AI. So that is why you're seeing some weakness on NVIDIA. Dutch Bros is up 4.7%. Dutch Bros getting some green. HubSpot's down 15. Centris was flat. Enovix down 2. Honest down 10. Snapchat up 20. Chime up 12. ARM up 2. Figma up 2. FICO still down 5. Robinhood 141 basically flat. Qualcomm basically flat. AppLovin 646, not too bad. They still have the SEC probe on them. DoorDash, I don't think we looked at this enough, but I know they missed on EPS. DoorDash, Elf, Chipotle. There is definitely a trend around the consumer, and it's something we got to think about.
Yeah, I think it was Kava earnings where the CEO mentioned that this was the most deeply, I can't remember exactly how he phrased it, but something like the most deeply discount seeking culture for consumers that he's seen since the Great Recession. So that's not a good thing for a lot of discretionary in restaurant spend, obviously, like Kava. Well, something to keep an eye on.
When can I talk about Chime?
Well, you got 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Do I have a space to talk about that here? Highest adjusted EBITDA margin they've ever seen, 8% now. They want to get that up to 35% in like quick succession. So that's pretty interesting as well. And they have a very, very small credit product. They've been essentially quarter after quarter after quarter, the loss rates on that product have gotten better and better. So on the small amount of credit that they do have, it's improving. Transaction margins improving, the amount of spend that people are spending on the platform even higher. Honestly, I think that the ability that you could have purchased this stock at $16 on Monday will go down as you know, pretty unbelievable pricing. Unless, of course, like barring some recession. But this quarter, this company's very, very cyclical as well. So the quarters that you're seeing today are not even going to compare remotely as close to what you're going to see in Q1. They always see a massive bump in Q1. And their highest income target was the fastest growing this quarter as well. So over 100K. Kind of
Look, I mean, well, yeah. And, you know, obviously Tanner is a fan of Chime. I mean, a lot of these financial services companies are putting up some decent numbers. Robinhood really put up some numbers that are quite incredible. But this day for earnings was pretty good, except for about 3 companies that are heavily located towards the consumer. And that's why I think you might be having some jitters with Elf and DoorDash. And then Duolingo, that's a consumer company, but that seems more like a guidance question. Everything else, Joby's decent, Lyft was decent, Dutch Bros decent, AppLovin decent, Qualcomm, ARM pretty damn good. It's not a bad cycle for today's earnings. Robinhood right there, 141 after hours again. I mean, if you didn't even know they had, like, I don't even think my sister knows there's earnings today. So she probably, like, if you look at your portfolio and you have a hood, you might not even know that there's earnings, given how flat the reaction is. So
honestly, like I love that you've helped your sister become an investor, and now that she invests, she's the best kind of investor because like yen carry trade days, or that we're concerned about the consumer days. She's not like even looking. Yeah, she just holds quality companies and lets them execute. So long and strong.
Yeah, she'll look every couple months and be like, "Oh, okay, cool, we're doing all right." So that's what you got. All right, folks. In about 30 seconds, we should get this call. Again, Tanner, Roy, and I will be on it. We don't know when we're going to ask our question, but I think they're going to be taking some questions from the people that are actually physically there.
Are you guys calling in now?
No. You got to call in when the thing starts. But once it starts, we can call in.
Okay.
And so we'll be in the chat and we'll be seeing what they say. There's probably going to be about 20 minutes of just introductory remarks from Vlad and Jason. And then
Make sure you thank Jason, by the way.
Yes.
What did you say?
I said, make sure you thank Jason.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, Jason has crushed it. You know, he joined back in 2018, I think, if I'm not wrong. So he's been there for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, he came in, of course, helped them become a public company, and just execute, incredibly professional, well thought of in the space. And I mean, I wouldn't say he's more important than Vlad, or it's hard. Like, they have a lot of important people, but man, he has been critical for Robinhood. But I think the company is in such good shape. I'll be quiet now.
All right, here we go. Robinhood Q3 2025 earnings.
Jason Warnick, SVP of Finance and Strategy and Treasurer Shiv Verma, and VP of Corporate Finance and Investor Relations Chris Cagle. Vlad and Jason will offer opening remarks and then open the call to Q&A. During the Q&A portion of the call, we will answer questions from the audience, which includes institutional research analysts, finance content creators who may hold an ownership position in Robinhood, and both institutional and retail shareholders. As a reminder, today's call will contain forward-looking statements. Actual results could differ materially from our current expectations, and we may not provide updates unless legally required. Potential risk factors that could cause differences, including regulatory developments that we continue to monitor, are described in the press release we issued today, the earnings presentation, and our SEC filings, all of which can be found at investors.robinhood.com. Today's discussion will also include non-GAAP financial measures. Reconciliations to the GAAP measures we consider most directly comparable can be found in the earnings presentation. With that, please welcome Vlad and Jason.
Good to see you. Good to see everyone. It's great to be here with all of you today. We have a live audience again, this time from downtown San Francisco. And also great to, I think for the first time in our earnings call, have institutional and retail shareholders, so buy side joining us. So welcome and thank you. Also, we have our institutional analysts. So good to see a lot of familiar faces here. Q3 was another quarter of relentless product velocity. So we were excited to see that. It was really across our three focus areas, which, as a reminder, number one in active traders, number one in wallet share for the next generation, number one global financial ecosystem. So I'll briefly go through each of these. Active traders, we want active traders to feel like they are at a disadvantage if they trade anywhere other than Robinhood. And we've rolled out a ton of great new products for active traders. You guys might have seen second annual Hood Summit in Vegas just a couple weeks ago. We announced a bunch of brokerage updates, shorting, multiple brokerage accounts, AI-driven custom indicators powered by Robinhood Cortex, a whole new social platform, Robinhood Social, and we've got more. We've got more for you guys. We can't wait to share more next month at our first ever AI event on December 16th. Innovation like this really has the active trader engine humming. In Q3, we had record equity and option trading volumes, and October looks even better. For both equities and options in the month of October, we had new single day all-time and new monthly records. So both of those businesses just continuing to perform strongly. Prediction markets are really on fire. It's hard to believe that we launched this just about a year ago with the presidential election markets. We've doubled volume every quarter since then to 2.3 billion contracts in Q3. And the month of October alone was up to 2.5 billion contracts. So October by itself was bigger than all of Q3 combined. Customers really love the product, and we're bringing them even more. We're now at over 1,000 live contracts, and we've expanded categories. So it's not just sports, but also economics, politics, culture. We're making the UI much cleaner, the experience even better. And I think it's really exciting to see where this can go. I mean, we love being early to this new asset class, and some people are saying this could be one of the largest asset classes because you can price risk in pretty much anything. We have a massive opportunity with assets as well. Turning to wallet share, our assets are now up to over $1/3 trillion as the generational wealth transfer of 120 trillion is fully in motion. So I think it's really great to see our financial super app accelerating. On the long-term money side, retirement now up over 25 billion, which more than doubled in the past year. And Robinhood Strategies, which we just launched in March, now has over 1 billion in assets and is one of the fastest growing digital advisors. On the banking front, Robinhood Gold Card now over 500,000 cardholders with over 8 billion in annual spend. So the numbers there just keep growing. That's 5x growth in cardholders since the beginning of the year. And we'll get into this a little bit more in Jason's section, but we like what we see there. The customer behavior is good, and that's given us confidence to accelerate the rollout, and we're going to accelerate it even further. And Robinhood Banking started early customer rollout quite recently. So far, we like what we're seeing there too. Customers are direct depositing. You might have seen some nice screenshots of the user experience and the onboarding flow, and people really love that they're getting interest, not just on their savings, but they have an opportunity to earn a good interest on checking. So it's really about simplifying things for customers. And the plan is to just keep scaling this, keep adding more services, more products. And last but not least, we've been really grinding to build out the #1 global financial ecosystem. So 10 years from now, the aim is to have over half of our revenue be outside the US, and also cut another way. Right now, we're majority retail. We think we can get to over half being non-retail, institutional. And these are tough goals, but I think the opportunity is there, and we're going after it. 3 areas of progress to highlight from Q3. Tokenization, which are stock tokens in the EU. We're now up to 400 plus public companies and growing. There's a lot of innovation to be done. We're working hard. Robinhood Ventures in the US. So we found a way to give exposure to non-accredited retail to private companies, which we think is super important and a huge opportunity for us. We've already made some initial investments. We're working towards the public offering for Robinhood Ventures in the coming months. Bitstamp around the world, our first scaled institutional business. We're very excited about that. We are continuing to grow. We're adding capabilities. We're adding more institutional customers. Volumes are up 60+% quarter-over-quarter for Bitstamp. And it's great to see that we're accelerating even as we're integrating. And I think that's not a common thing. It's a big business. I think the team's done a really nice job kind of integrating and making sure that product velocity just continues to increase. And as a result of all this, great business results in Q3. Revenues up over 100% year over year to a record of nearly 1.3 billion. Record net deposits in the quarter, over 20 billion. We've already exceeded last year's record of 50 billion in net deposits, and we still have another entire quarter to go. So we feel really good about the traction there. Gold subscribers up to a record 3.9 million. And that's 14+% adoption when you look at the overall net account base. And it's nearly 40% for customers that joined in quarter, our new customers. International customers, nearly 700,000 international funded, including Bitstamp. So the UK and EU are continuing to grow nicely. And we feel great about Q3 product velocity and results. I think it was a strong quarter, and I'll turn it over to Jason to go through financials before we get into Q&A.
Sounds good. Thanks, Vlad. In Q3, we delivered another quarter of strong profitable growth. Revenue doubled while margins expanded, and earnings per share more than tripled from last year. Year to date through Q3, revenues are up 65%. Earnings per share is up 150%, and we continue to stay disciplined on expenses to deliver 75% incremental adjusted EBITDA margins. And it's exciting that as our business grows, we're continuing to diversify. In Q3, two more businesses, Prediction Markets and Bitstamp, each surpassed 100 million in annualized revenue, bringing us to 11 in total and underscoring the growing diversification and strength of our business. Prediction Markets reached that milestone in less than a year. It's our fastest in history, and it's already tracking towards a $300 million run rate based on October volumes. So just really going fast. Now, let's take a closer look at our Q3 results compared to a year ago. Revenues doubled to an all-time high, nearly 1.3 billion, as our customers remained engaged and continue to bring more of their assets to the platform. Trading volumes were up double to triple digits across equities, options, and crypto, and we continue to grow market share across product categories. We're also seeing strong contributions from newer products like prediction markets, index options, and futures. Interest earning assets were up over 50%, driven by strong margin and cash sweep growth. It's great to see margin continuing to hit new highs as we win larger customers and gain market share. And securities lending also hit an all-time high with a strong market backdrop as IPO activity continued to pick up. And Robinhood Gold grew to 3.9 million subscribers. That's over 75% year-over-year growth as we continue to broaden the value proposition, including Robinhood Banking, which is just beginning to roll out. Turning to expenses, Q3 adjusted OPEX and share-based compensation came in at 613 million. It's about 40 million above the midpoint of our prior outlook range. This was driven by two items that are both related to our strong performance. First, stronger year-to-date results led to higher Q3 employee bonus accrual. That is higher for Q3, but also includes a catch-up for the first half of the year. And second, the significant increase in our stock price this year triggered vesting on the remaining tranche of the 2019 CEO market-based award. This resulted in unplanned payroll tax expense in G&A. We are through that award now, so glad you get to go back to your 40,000 a year.
Apologies.
Yeah. Looking ahead to the rest of the year, we're tracking toward full year 2025 adjusted OPEX plus SBC of around 2.28 billion, but it could be higher or lower depending on how the rest of the year plays out. This reflects our strong year-to-date business results, which had us tracking to the top end of our prior outlook range, as well as some increased investment in new growth areas like prediction markets and Robinhood Ventures. I think each of these areas have significant potential for us. And lastly, this also incorporates the cost of Vlad's market-based award, which were not previously included in our outlook. I'll also provide a quick update on the strong results we're seeing so far in Q4, as you may have seen in the release. October was a strong month across the business. We saw continued momentum in net deposits, new records set across equities, options, prediction markets, and margin, and a nice step up in crypto volumes. And before we go to Q&A, I'm sure you saw in the release that I'm going to be retiring next year. I'll transition in Q1 from my operating role into an advisory role and will stay on until September 1st. I'm incredibly happy and proud to share that Shiv Verma will be stepping into the role of CFO. I've worked closely with Shiv these past 7 years, and I've got absolutely complete confidence in him. You're going to find that he's seriously world-class.
At this time, I'd like to invite Shiv Verma to join us up here. Long time no see, Shiv. Okay, first of all, I want to thank Jason for all he's done for Robinhood. He's been an incredible steward of the company, not just the finance team, but the entire company, and is leaving the finance team in a much stronger position than when he joined. Among his many assets, and you guys are obviously familiar with some of them, I would be remiss to not mention that his good looks were a main reason why we wanted to do these earnings on video, which everyone can agree. So I'm sure he'll be missed by this audience as well. I also want to congratulate Shiv. He's been working closely with me for some time now. you guys will increasingly see he's an exceptional operator. He's got a strong track record of not just being lean and disciplined, but also advocating for growth. And I think that balance is critical to so much that we do here. Tomorrow, Shiv celebrates 7 years at Robinhood. So while he's got his hands on nearly everything, he's currently SVP of Finance and Strategy and also our treasurer. So Shiv, welcome. Maybe you'll say a few words as well.
Yeah, thank you, Vlad. I'm so excited and humbled for the opportunity to serve our customers and shareholders. Much appreciation to you, the board, and the entire leadership team for the trust. To Jason, a heartfelt thank you. We joined 6 weeks apart, and we've been on quite the journey together. Many of you know Jason as a fantastic CFO, but he's also an incredible colleague, mentor, and friend. I just want to express my sincere gratitude. For today, I'll keep it short and just want to introduce myself. As Vlad said, I've been here a little over 7 years, and I've seen the company scale from a couple million customers and a few billion assets to now 27 million customers and over 300 billion in assets globally. I work closely with Vlad, Jason, and the entire team. I've gotten to wear a lot of different hats, and as Vlad said today, I lead 4 teams: finance, strategy, corp dev, and treasury. In terms of what to expect, big picture, more of the same. Our top goal is still to grow and to keep delivering for customers, to ship amazing products with high velocity. We also believe in a lean and disciplined culture, and this is personally where I spend a lot of time. We obsess about capital allocation and ROI. We pride ourselves on small teams that can deliver outsized results, and we believe in profitable growth. And lastly, our financial North Star is going to remain the same: grow earnings per share and free cash flow per share, and compound long-term shareholder value. Plain and simple. So I'm excited to partner with everyone. We'll turn it back to Vlad and Jason and talk about this great quarter.
Thanks, Shiv, and I do look forward to seeing Shiv competing on Jeopardy someday. Chris, why don't we go ahead and take some questions?
All right. Thank you, Jason. For the Q&A session, we'll start by answering shareholder questions from Say Technologies, from shareholders who are joining us on video. And after the Say questions, we'll turn to live questions from our audience and then go to dial-in participants. So I'll kick it off with our first question from Say, which comes from Preston.
Hello, Vlad and Jason. Can you guys see me okay?
We can hear you.
We can hear you well.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to ask a question here.
Oh, I
hope
see
you're
you
doing
now.
well.
There you are.
Hello.
Yeah, he's
Hey,
down
guys.
here.
Look at that. He's got the Robinhood logo. Did you
Yeah,
draw
I
that
painted
yourself?
I painted that in class a couple days ago.
Oh,
So, yeah.
awesome.
But I was wondering, how quickly do you expect to roll out Robinhood banking to users?
Yeah, great question. This will be a relatively fast rollout. When you compare banking to the credit card, there's not the same considerations around making sure the economics between the borrowing and the spending are perfectly calibrated. I think banking is a simpler product in that way. And so the rollout will just be governed by customer feedback. We like what we see thus far, and so we're going to continue to roll out. And we expect that if there's no surprises, it should be pretty quick. We've already got customers trying it, including cash delivery available in some markets, and early results are really good. So if you're in the state of New York and have access to banking, you can try it right now.
All right. Thank you, Vlad. The next question is from Huiben. All right, I'll read it. So Wiben's question was, there was a recent AWS related outage. How are you strengthening platform resiliency to address that?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. So for those of you that don't recall this, even though pretty much the entire internet was briefly affected, including my kids' elementary school, they couldn't take attendance. AWS had an outage a few weeks back, and that led to degraded app performance for a significant number of our customers. Now, the good news is it actually demonstrates how much progress we've made in the resilience of our systems over the past few years. You know, if this had happened to us, like an outage of the infrastructure provider of this magnitude, if it had happened a few years ago, we probably would have been fully down. but we made a lot of investments in that time period. And so even though things were slower and there were higher latencies, a lot of customers could, manage their risk and place orders, although we didn't provide them with the type of experience that we would want. That's for sure. And one thing that you can be assured of is every opportunity, every outage like this, even if it's a third party related, is an opportunity for us to further strengthen our resilience. So we've been hard at work looking at how we could become even better. And that's internally and also in conversations with all of our partners. So this is part and parcel of what we have to do. We want to be our customers' not just primary financial account, but we want to be their secondary financial account as well, which means that we have to continue to be robust.
All right, thank you, Vlad. And let's take one more question from Say on video and see if we can go 2 for 3 here. So the next question is from Griffin.
Hello. How are you doing?
Hello. Doing great. Hey, Vlad, Jason, and Shiv. Thanks so much for taking the question and really great quarter, first of all. But I wanted to ask around the super app nature and kind of the evolution of Robinhood. So obviously it was started to democratize investing for everyone. And now as you evolve into the full financial kind of ecosystem and also the true super app for the next generation, how do you see this ecosystem maturing? So what products do you think will kind of be the core tie around all of this? And also, how do you see the biggest opportunities for this next generation as everyone's finances get more complex? Thanks.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I mean, you're seeing that part of this vision is somewhat predictable in a sense. We have to look at, how does money enter our ecosystem? And of course, we have all of the existing mechanisms, but Robinhood Banking, the goal with Robinhood Banking is to be the place where our customers deposit their paychecks as well. So that will handle the inflow of money. And, a lot of the assets over time, we do believe will be invested. But the question is, can we minimize the reasons customers have for ever withdrawing money and make it as easy as possible for people to get money in? And over time, there will be new products, new product categories like prediction markets that arise. And we want to use our combination of best-in-class user experience and also economics to make sure we're a big player in everything that customers want to do with their money, not just in the US, but increasingly globally. So it's going to be a combination of getting broader, but also selectively going deeper in areas where we feel like we have competitive advantage.
All right. Thank you, Vlad. That concludes our shareholder questions from Say Technologies. And so now we'll move to Q&A from our live audience. The first question is going to be from Patrick Moley at Piper Sandler.
Yes, thank you for taking the question. For my question, I want to say congratulations to both Jason and Shiv. Jason, really enjoyed working with you. Shiv, looking forward to getting to know you a little better. So I had one on prediction markets. You've obviously become one of the leaders in the space, but there's been a lot of new entrants recently. So I was hoping you could talk about just the strategy there and what you think gives you the right to win long term. And then as a second part to that, can you talk through some of the strategic considerations around maintaining your position today as kind of a retail distribution for the venues versus maybe trying to develop something internally, whether that's organic or inorganically? Thanks.
Yeah. So I think one of the advantages we have entering any market, prediction markets aren't an exception, is that we have distribution and we have lots of customers, 26 million plus funded accounts in the US that are trading and using us for all sorts of things. And from an infrastructure standpoint, we actually have an increasing set of tools that can plug in and are being built to be multi-asset. So not just our mobile app, but increasingly on web. We have Robinhood Legend. We have all of these things that we announced at Hood Summit. And it's really an ecosystem of financial services. And you'll see great integration between all of our platforms and all of our assets and account types, increasingly so in the future. I think when we think about vertical integration, like should we be a market maker or should we be an exchange in any asset? One thing we look at is the vertical integration going to be accretive to us? Is it going to be something that is increasingly commoditized over time? And my feeling for how this is going to evolve in prediction markets, at least, is there's going to be a lot of entrants in the space, a lot of exchanges, and in the same way that across equities and options, customers are well served because there's a wide variety of venues that are competing on cost to offer great execution. I think prediction markets will evolve that way too. And I think in that world, the customer certainly benefits because different DCMs and markets will compete for who offers the lowest cost. And I think the power continues to be in our distribution and offering a wide variety of products and services. I think we're the only ones currently that have this powerful combination of, for traders, not just being able to trade prediction markets, but crypto, options, equities, futures. I think it's a great combination, and there's certain advantages for everything being in one place under a simple, easy-to-use platform. And I think we can keep pressing on that advantage. And as you've noticed, I think the product has continued to evolve at a pretty rapid pace. I think you should expect that to continue and to even accelerate.
All right. Next question from Alex Markgraf from KeyBank.
I don't think so.
All right, I'll keep talking.
There it is. There we go.
Thanks, everyone. Jason, Shiv, congrats. Maybe, Jason, one on crypto, the crypto business for a second. Just want to understand better as you've moved through the third quarter and early part of the fourth quarter, the mix of smart exchange routing and how that's sort of factored into the numbers that we're seeing.
Yeah, so the blended take rate's kind of in the high 60 cent zone, and we are liking what we're seeing for smart exchange routing. Really robust interest by customers, and the take rate that we're seeing so far into Q4 is kind of in the same zone. We'll have to watch how the mix plays out, but we like what we're seeing from customers. They're bringing more when they select smart exchange routing. They're bringing more of their trading volume to Robinhood. So we feel really good about the offering that we have.
Yeah, I would just add one thing there. It's a big step towards pricing being a little bit more personalized, right? And what we had before, a lot of people asked us, well, your take rate is so much lower across the board. Can you raise your take rate? But I think the real story is a little bit more complex than that because, certainly if you're an active trader, you're trading huge volumes, you're able to use advanced offerings on exchanges. And in the past, we didn't have tools to offer those customers who we might not have been super competitive for lower take rates. And that's what smart exchange routing really unlocks for us. For those that are super active and bringing a ton of volume, almost like prosumer traders, which we're seeing more of now that we've got Robinhood Legend. Can we make Robinhood a no-brainer for them? And we've seen more and more of those customers choosing us and coming in here after smart exchange routing, which is very exciting because that's just a customer segment that we felt we were underpenetrated with.
All right. The next question is from Devin Ryan from Citizens. And if you want to ask a question after Devin, please put your hand up as he's wrapping up.
Thanks, Chris. Vlad, Jason, Shiv, and Shiv, welcome to the call. I know you've been a big part of the story already, so kind of welcome to the stage here, and Jason, to you as well. And the success to date, and the best practices you put in place really put the firm on strong footing. So congratulations.
Thanks, Devin.
Question on private markets. demand and activity that we're tracking is recovering. Last week, Morgan Stanley announced the acquisition of EquityZen. I know there can be some barriers with accredited investors. Maybe that makes it a little bit complicated, but can you just talk about whether there's demand from your customer base, and especially as companies stay private longer, just and a lot of the values created in the private markets, it would seem like Robinhood's in a great position to both be a trading hub and help create liquidity in the system, but then also maybe even in primary capital for private markets. So the question is just whether there's an increasing interest in private markets, if there's a plan there to do more. I know it connects to tokenization as well, and also if M&A would make sense there as well. Thanks.
Yeah, maybe I'll start, but Shiv's also been working on the Robinhood Ventures front, so maybe I'll ask him to say a few words as well. Look, I think private markets are a huge opportunity, and just let's focus on the U.S. perhaps first, because that's where we have the largest portion of our business, although international with tokenization provides some interesting opportunities as well. In the U.S., I think it's one of the biggest iniquities that we think is part of our mission to help resolve. You mentioned yourself, you have a lot of these companies that are staying private longer. They're avoiding the public markets. They're private in valuations of, hundreds of billions now, right? So, and if you want access to the AI innovation economy or space technologies, you don't have a ton of pure play public companies to select from. So we think it's a bigger problem, particularly as these technologies have so much potential to upend the lives of retail consumers. Giving access to that is a big part of it. A few years ago, we rolled out IPO access, and I would say that at first, people were kind of skeptical about it, right? Like we would have to really work hard to get companies to be interested to give retail IPO allocations. And recently, pretty much every company that's notable that's thinking about going public comes to us, talks to us about their retail engagement strategy. And now they're looking at, how do we engage retail better? Earnings calls, not just shareholder Q&A, but doing, making earnings more compelling so that retail wants to actually watch and participate and learn as well. And we've noticed the allocations to retail going up in public companies, public IPOs, which we've been very happy about. And I think that's a trend that's going to continue. And we want to do that at earlier stage. And I think that's really the thesis behind Robinhood Ventures. And we found a way to do it, we believe, unaccredited. And maybe Shiv can talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, we've been working on this for a while, and we're super excited. In terms of the demand, when we talk to customers, it's one of the top things they want. They want access to these best-in-class technology companies that they use and love. And when you ask them, there's three big things they want. First, it's daily liquidity. Second, not to be accredited. 85% of Americans aren't accredited today, so they get left out. And third, more concentrated portfolios. They want access to, again, the names they love. And so when we designed the product, that was our main use case. How do we do that? And we think we found a great way to do that. We're on a file with the SEC for Robinhood Ventures 1. We're in the quiet period, so we can't say too much more there. But we think this vehicle will be great and expect pretty strong customer demand. And then the other thing we're working on is how do you make it great for companies? Because you need both the customers, but also the companies. And so we're trying to think what's the best way to partner and innovate with these customers and companies as well and have some really great traction there. So we're excited to share more about the fund in the coming months. But as Vlad said, this is just fund one and just the start. Our ambitions in the space are pretty large.
All right. The next question is going to come from Jeff John Roberts from Fortune.
Hi, guys. My question is about tokenized equities, which seem to be the future, and they seem very cool. But I'm curious, when do you think they're going to scale, Vlad? And also, what implications they might have for Robinhood's revenue when it comes to payment for order flow or otherwise? Thank you.
Yeah, great to see you, by the way. I forgot to mention we have some folks from the media joining us today, too. So thanks for the question. So tokenized equities, as you might remember from the event in France, there's 3 phases to the rollout, and we're still in phase 1, but we're really ramping up the number of tokens available on the platform. So we're now up over 400 available. And I think that makes us the largest in terms of selection. I think the largest, maybe one of the largest at the very least. But I think where it really starts to get interesting is phase 2 and phase 3, which is them available for secondary trading on Bitstamp, and then eventually them being on DeFi, where the possibilities really start to multiply. You start thinking about self-custody, collateralized lending and borrowing, which we think could be very, very disruptive as well. Currently, the model is just foreign exchange in the EU. Yeah, we take a relatively low, simple foreign exchange fee for tokens, and actually, we're pretty happy with that. I think that's 10 basis points, if I'm not mistaken, which is actually slightly higher than what we would be foregoing with payment for order flow.
All right, the next question in the front row.
Thanks for taking the question. Vlad, this is for you. Anyone who's had the pleasure of being an investor or customer over the last many years, I think has seen an incredibly inspirational change in product execution pace. I'm curious to understand from you guys, what have been the contributing factors there? How do you see that maintaining or increasing over the coming years? But really incredible job, and it's so fun to be a customer.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we appreciate that. I think that we've grown as a company, and you know, I think it's easy to sort of like dismiss what happened during COVID as, you know, we were sort of like too bloated and got too big and got away from us. But I think a lot of what we did actually was we built the foundation for the company subsequent to that. So we brought great people into the company, and I think we realized, well, we realized that, you know, we had to ask ourselves serious questions about what kind of culture we wanted, what we wanted to be. Did we want to ship fast? And I think that set the foundation both infrastructurally and from a people standpoint to the product velocity that you see now. So I think we obviously had to make some tough decisions, getting fit. I think we've also, I think this is sort of underreported. I think a lot of people don't like to talk about this, but we were pretty early to adopt AI and actually like drive that through the organization, particularly in the areas where we think there's maximum impact, customer service and engineering, where we actually, I believe, are best in class in our industry. So you'll hear more about that at the AI event, but I think that, you know, there's not a lot said about that because we're not a foundation model company, but I think we're right up there leading the financial services industry with how we're deploying it at scale.
Two things that I would add, which I think both relate to speed of decision making. We made the change to a general manager model, and I think having leaders over their specific business owning goals and driving against their milestones helped us move faster. The second piece was alignment on what our financial tenets were around kind of what the ROI and other financial guardrails are, and just getting a complete alignment across the teams that build and the teams that support on what those hurdles are and what those requirements are, allowed us to move even faster once there was alignment on that. So those are two aspects that I think help us move faster.
All right. Yes, and also in the front row.
Hi, thanks for taking my question. Cryptocurrency-related products and revenue have been an important part of Robinhood's growth story. What are your thoughts on adopting Bitcoin or other digital assets as part of your corporate treasury strategy?
Shiv, what do you think about that one?
So we spent a lot of time thinking about this. We like alignment with the community. We are a big player in crypto. We want to keep doing it. We like that our customers are engaged in it. What we always try to figure out is it the right thing for shareholders as well? If you put it on your balance sheet, it has the positives and that you're aligned with the community, but it does take up capital. Our shareholders can also go and buy Bitcoin directly on Robinhood, and so are we making that decision for them? And is it the best use of our capital? There's a lot of different things you're doing, from new products for growth, investing in engineering. So we have this debate constantly. And I think the short answer is we're still thinking about it. There's pros and cons to both of it. And it's one that we're going to keep actively looking at.
All right. Before we move to the virtual queue, are there any other questions from folks in person? All right. Now to the dial-in community. All right. So for those who are dialing in, please press *11 on your phone to enter the queue. And if you'd like to remove yourself from the queue, please press *11 again. So the first question is from James Yarrow at Goldman Sachs. All right, we don't have James at the moment, so we'll go to the next question. And James, jump back in if you can hear us. All right, so the next question is from Ben Budish at Barclays. All right, well, in the meantime, while we work to connect with our virtual community, Alex Margraf, do you have another question? All right, let's get Alex a mic. Shiv, do you want to share any more about yourself while we're waiting?
I think we're getting Alex a mic, so we're in good shape.
Yeah. Thanks for your patience as we work through.
Thanks. Vlad, you mentioned the wealth transfer in your prepared remarks, and I'd just be curious to get your thoughts as to, in that sort of longer arc opportunity, where we are today, and then Jason or Shiv, maybe just thinking about the contribution to growth. Again, sort of a longer term question, but when we think about the contribution to growth from the wealth transfer, how should we sort of think about that over a 5-10-year arc?
Yeah, maybe I'll start with some of the things we're thinking about on the product side. We've been really thinking about how to make Robinhood more useful for you, the more of your family is on it. So, and you see this with credit card and now the banking offering. Like, the product is really a family product. Family is a first-class experience. You can get, your partner a credit card or a bank account. We make it really easy to create accounts for children and other household staff as well. And a lot of people have been using it as like a family financial hub. And I think you should expect that to be broader and deeper across the entire ecosystem. You guys might probably recognize, even though we've added a bunch of account types to the product, a few years ago, Robinhood just used to be a single individual brokerage account. We didn't even have retirement accounts. Now you have retirement accounts. You can have recently launched up to 10 custom individual brokerage accounts, which people have been really loving. But we still have a ways to go. We don't have trusts. We don't have custodial. But we think that's an opportunity to continue to both get people when they're younger, but also, when customers get wealthier, they tend to start diversifying, putting things into trust. So we see that as an opportunity as well. And I think this is an area where trade PMR is also going to become increasingly important as we work to integrate that platform, particularly as financial needs become a little bit more complicated. Having a person there to help you navigate the entire thing and give a little bit more customized advice, I think will be a great complement to our suite of digital services. So over the next year, you'll see a lot more. We're attacking this problem and this huge, 100+ trillion opportunity from multiple angles. And I don't think it's on the radar of a lot of our competitors. I mean, you don't hear about people designing with the whole family in mind. And I think that's a big opportunity for us to differentiate.
Stepping back, we've been winning market share really across every category that we're in, and I think as we execute against the vision that Vlad was sharing, we're positioned to take an outsized share of that of the wealth transfer.
All right. The next question I'm going to read on behalf of James Yarrow from Goldman Sachs. We are seeing tokenization across Robinhood and other firms, and your tokenized equities product and those of peers are not interoperable, as they are slightly differently structured and on different blockchains in many cases. Does this result in fragmentation of liquidity across the equity market? How do you expect this market to develop, and how would you make these tokenized stocks interoperable?
Yeah, I can field that one. So right now, certainly Robinhood stock tokens are not as interoperable as we would like, but that's just because they're actually not on DeFi yet. So they're very much in the Robinhood walled garden, which has certain advantages. Right now, every trade that a customer does is backed by a traditional equities trade in a TradFi market. And as we continue to build up the liquidity and the collection of and the supply of tokens, I think that's going to lead to actually a really great initial customer experience. Over time, I do expect greater interoperability. As you've seen with other assets in the crypto world, even if they're on other chains, the community tends to get involved and build bridges and wrappers. And so I think that's less of a concern. I think every major tokenized asset will eventually end up being multi-chain. So it's just a question of how do we get there. But interoperability, not a huge concern. I think it will come. In terms of liquidity fragmentation, I mean that's nothing new, especially if you look at it on a global level across all asset classes. There's multiple exchanges, there are multiple market makers involved, and this is something that they know how to deal with. Managing liquidity and trading across different venues. And I think in some ways, crypto technology and infrastructure makes that a somewhat easier problem, because the cost and complexity of integration from an engineering standpoint tends to be much simpler.
All right. Thank you, Vlad. The next question is for Jason, and it's from Ben Budish at Barclays. I'll read it on his behalf. You've called out a number of cost items impacting this year, some of which it sounds like won't recur. How should we think about the run rate into 2026?
Yeah, so we're working through planning right now for 2026, but what I would tell you is that we're approaching it the same way that we've approached the last couple of years, which is we think that we can invest for growth while delivering profitable growth, meaning margin expansion. The way that we approach that is that we ask the existing businesses to find efficiencies, and when we set targets and build our plans, we ask them to grow their cost base in the low single digits, and in some cases even lower. And we use those savings then to reinvest into growth, things like increasing spend in marketing, which we love the ROI efficiency of our marketing spend, but then also investing in new businesses. And you see the kind of outcomes that we've been able to deliver the last couple of years in terms of fast revenue growth and relatively more modest expense growth, and that's the approach that we're taking right now as we plan for 2026.
All right. Thank you, Jason. We're going to take another shot at going to the live phone queue. All right. So the next question is from Brian Bedell at Deutsche Bank.
Great. Thanks. Can you hear me okay?
We hear you.
The telephone works.
Excellent. All right. The old-fashioned TradFi telephone.
Yes.
Finally worked. Well, I just want to say, first of all, congrats, Jason, on retirement.
Thank you.
It's been great working with you, and welcome, Shiv. Looking forward to working with you as well. Maybe my question will go to prediction markets. So maybe if you can just talk about how the customer behavior has been forming just in the last 2 months. We've seen a big increase in volume, obviously in September with the NFL and college games added. And how are you seeing that maybe sort of shape in coming into October? Or are you seeing that volume increase coming from more new users coming into the prediction markets, or rather greater usage of existing users? And then if you can talk about maybe just your thoughts around timeline of launching new contracts and potentially even weaving in things around maybe single stocks that active traders can start using.
Yeah, I can start. We are working on this. We've actually increased the diversity of the contracts we offer tremendously in the past few weeks, launching entirely new categories. I mean, recently, lots of new entertainment and culture markets. You've seen us broaden out the technology markets as well. So now we're offering over 1,000 live event contracts for customers to trade. We're seeing a lot of adoption. It might not be surprised because we have such a large established customer base, a lot of adoption from existing users, particularly traders, but we're seeing new customers as well. So there's customers that join Robinhood because they want access to our prediction markets offering. And I think there's plenty more we could do, not just increasing contract diversity, but making the user experience better, making it a little bit more discoverable in the product. And the team continues to work hard. You should see the product continue to improve week over week.
Much like our active trader offering, a relatively smaller portion of our customers are participating in the market. And I think as we continue to work on the user interface and discoverability of the product, we've got expectation that we can take that higher.
All right, thank you. The next question is from Dan Doloff at Mizuho.
Hey guys, great job again on an outstanding quarter. Wanted to
thank
Dan. You, Jason. It was welcome, and thank you, Jason. It was a pleasure working with you, and I look forward to working with you, Shiv. And my question for you, Vlad, is Bitstamp's very, very strong. I think over 60% growth quarter over quarter. This seems incredibly strategic to Robinhood. Can you maybe elaborate on the long-term strategic importance of this? Because it seems to be off to a great start. Thank you.
Yeah, and actually, it was, we've had the pleasure, the Bitstamp team on the engineering side is actually at our offices. So we got to hang out with a lot of them yesterday with Johan and really talk through, what's our plan for next year. And you're right that we've had, pretty tremendous success growing volumes and, improving the product post-acquisition. But we definitely aren't getting complacent. We're not slowing down. We see a huge opportunity. I think Bitstamp can be very key to our tokenization plans as we enter phase 2 of our tokenization vision. We really want to lean in there and give people access to real assets that have fundamental utility on the platform. It's also our first institutional business. And, the one thing I really appreciate with institutional customers is they have lots of choices for where they take their business, and they're definitely not shy about telling us all of the things that we do that we need to do better. Which there are a lot of, believe it or not. I think there's so many things that we hear from our institutional customers. So we're going to have a busy year, and I think that as we continue to be successful and build more things, I think we'll see that volumes and market shares will follow.
All right, thank you. The next
and Johan's very nervous watching me say all this.
All right, the next question is from Brett Knobloch at Cantor.
Perfect. Hey guys, congrats on the quarter. Thank you for taking my question. On the Robinhood Social, could you maybe just dive into that a bit deeper, and when you expect for that to roll out, and how you expect maybe users to begin using that, and how the should impact, maybe financials, and when you would expect it to impact financials going forward?
Yeah, I think this is something where it may be somewhat challenging to forecast precisely the impact, because the way we see it is this is going to be a new source of information for customers. It'll be a source of trading ideas. We really want the product to be great, and we think that it can be just a source of information. We think we can be the place where a lot of business and financial related discussion can happen and hopefully originate. And we've done some experiments with social features over the years, and we have seen that when executed properly, and I think we're being very thoughtful with how to make sure all of the content is high quality. Of course, with verification of traders, we have an advantage there. We think it can be an engaging product that makes Robinhood not just useful when you have an idea that you want to trade on, but it can be actually where your ideas originate, which I think is a big opportunity, because it allows us to close the loop. And if the ideas come from Robinhood and we're the place where they execute on the trades, the platform just becomes more powerful, and that power and the network effect will continue as we continue to roll out more assets. I think we're going to be the only place where you're going to have live verified trades across not just equities, options, and crypto, but also prediction markets and futures. And so the diversity of content, I think, should be quite compelling for folks that are interested in business and finance.
In terms of monetization, we really see this as an opportunity to spin the flywheel, attract more customers to the platform because of the rich social experience, and then be able to capture a greater share of trading activity and other financial activities across the platform.
All right. Next question is from Ed Engel at Compass Point.
Hi, thanks for taking the question. You talked about aspirations outside the U.S. I think you guys talked about over half of, hopefully one day, your user base will be outside the U.S. How does M&A play into that strategy? And can we expect you to kind of continue kind of launching market by market, or could there be an opportunity to kind of launch in a couple markets simultaneously given a bigger transaction? Thanks.
Over time, I think it's probably a mix. I mean, we naturally gravitate towards organic growth, and you're seeing examples of that, for example, in the UK. But we do have an active corp dev team. Actually, Shiv has been leading that for some time now. And when deals make sense for us, great team, great technology, ability to accelerate the roadmap. We don't shy away from those kinds of opportunities as well.
Okay. The next question is from Steven Chubak at Wolfe.
Thanks, Chris, and congrats, Jason and Shiv. Wanted to start with a question just on the international strategy and the growth that you've seen thus far. I was hoping to get some perspective, Vlad, in terms of how that growth is tracking relative to plan. Is there more that you can do in terms of product deployment and innovation to maybe help accelerate that growth? Just hasn't gotten as much airplay as like some of the other opportunities. So I was hoping you can unpack that a little bit further.
Yeah, I think it's still early in our international plan. That's why when we talk about this opportunity, it's really a 10-year vision, because unlike the US, when we expand into these markets, we don't have an existing established customer base to cross-sell into. But we're really seeing signs that we like, and so we've continued to invest even more. Cohort activity, both in the UK and the EU, has been improving, and that's actually led us to start doing marketing initiatives, because we're starting to see like real ROIs to marketing activity as revenue goes online. In the EU, with the To Catch a Token event just a few months ago, we launched in 30 countries with stock tokens, which we're really excited about. I mean, you've seen that ramp up, but again, it was a couple of months ago, so not much time has passed. So I think this is one of those things where, 5-10 years from now, we'll look back and we'll say, man, we underestimated the growth of that business, as we tend to do with things that are early. But we like the early signs, and we're continuing to increase our investment. And there's so much to build. I mean, even I mentioned with tokenization, we're still just in phase one. So I think over time, it'll become clear how those products actually have significant advantages over what you might find elsewhere.
All right, thank you. The next question is from Amit. Amit is investing.
Hey, Vlad. Hey, Jason. Thank you guys for taking my question, and a big thank you, Jason, over the years on your execution, and congrats to you, Shiv, on your new role. My question is for you, Vlad. Going back to tokenization, you recently said tokenization will eat the broader financial system. Outside of just tokenized equities, can you give us a more larger look on how big of a size the opportunity is, why right now is the time to go after it, and what Robinhood is really thinking about over the next couple of years in terms of taking advantage of the opportunity? I know there's a lot of different other assets besides equities that could be tokenized. So can you just speak a little bit more on how you guys are thinking of the opportunity?
Yeah, I think the opportunity is very exciting. One of the things that I think is both a problem and an opportunity with traditional crypto is that crypto and the traditional financial system, up until fairly recently, have kind of been two separate worlds. And I think Robinhood has a unique position as a scaled crypto business, but also a scaled business in traditional finance to bridge the two and actually make room for what we consider traditional assets, but really things like securities, products with real fundamental utility to leverage blockchain technology and actually be tradable on chain, where customers can self-custody, they can engage with a variety of protocols, collateralized borrowing and lending, and where those assets can be traded 24/7, real time, and fractional quantities. You've obviously seen some efforts in private companies in the EU with our OpenAI and SpaceX token giveaways there. So I think we're really interested in continuing to pull on that and making those products available to customers. The other opportunities that I'm personally excited about is real estate, private credit, unique assets and collectibles like art. If you think about, what's a part of your portfolio, if you're a high net worth individual, there's a lot of these assets that actually retail can't access currently. And I think that tokenization is a way to enable that at scale and sort of like reduce some of the downsides that would typically be associated with holding those assets, like lack of liquidity, being locked into positions, not being able to like chunk the assets out and invest in portions of them. So that's why we're continuing to push on it, both in the US and outside. And you should expect this to become bigger and bigger in the coming years. Of course, starting with stocks, which is the asset class that we think has the most potential and we're also closest to.
Okay, thank you, Vlad. The next question is from Roy from Crossroads.
Thanks for taking my question, and huge congratulations to Jason and also Shiv, and congrats to everybody on a great quarter too. And very impressive. There's been a huge increase in predictions market activity, and I'm curious if the volume shown in the platform is a mix of Kalshi and Robinhood, or is it just pure Robinhood? And also, is Robinhood considering expanding this internationally, even alongside or even ahead of its current trading expansion plans?
Good question. You want to field it?
Yeah, I mean, sure. The volumes that we're showing are the volumes that are on Robinhood. I'm sure Kalshi is counting the activity that we send to them, which is quite substantial. And for contracts that we offer, I think a very large chunk of Kalshi's volume is actually coming from Robinhood. In terms of international, Vlad, I'll let you cover that one.
Yeah, we're definitely looking into it closely. And you talk about tokenization as some of the previous callers have brought up. Prediction markets is another asset class that actually has a strong crypto component, particularly outside the U.S. So we're definitely taking a look at what's the most effective way to get that to our customers. And I think it's going to be on a case-by-case basis, maybe slightly different in each jurisdiction. But we have some options, as a scaled traditional player, but also on the crypto side. I think we'll have our pick of what's best in each jurisdiction, and that's something we're definitely closely looking at.
Okay. The next question is from Maddie Deleden from JP Morgan.
Hi, good afternoon. This is Maddie on for Ken. Thank you for taking our question. On shorting, has Robinhood experienced a noticeable pickup in customers applying for margin accounts in order to participate in the short selling since your 3Q launch? What have early adoption numbers and customer behavior looked like in these first few months? Thank you.
Yeah, so shorting is something that we've announced at the Hood Summit event in Vegas a couple of weeks ago. Customers are very excited about it. It's somewhat hard to believe that we've been able to get to this point without offering shorting, but we've been rolling it out to employees and doing final testing. It's actually not yet rolled out to external customers. So we think people will love it, but too early to tell. And I guess to answer your question, no, I mean, I don't think the increase in margin usage has been in anticipation of shorting because it's just not yet available.
Okay, thank you. The next question is from Tanner with Future Investing.
Hey guys. First
Tanner?
off, I just wanted to start off with a. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can
hear you.
Oh, okay, sorry. With a crypto question around crypto staking on the Robinhood platform so far, if there's any insights there. And then also just maybe a small request, if you guys are open to publishing event contracts volume on their monthly metrics updates going forward. That's it.
On the amount staked, I think it's we exited the quarter at about $1 billion. The market's been pretty volatile over the last few days, so I think it's come down a little bit. But customers are responding very well to the ability to stake.
And what about the event contracts volume published in monthly metrics?
Yeah, I'll leave that with Shiv as something to consider. I don't want to promise that for him, but we do like, in all seriousness, being as transparent as possible for investors, and we're always looking at ways to provide incremental disclosure to help you understand the business. So that's something we'll look at.
Yeah, thanks for the suggestion.
All right. That is the last question from our virtual queue. Is there anybody else in the audience here who didn't get to ask a question earlier that wants to ask a question?
Perhaps
Not
one
Dan-
of the
not Dan
virtual.
Gallagher.
No.
No. All right. Well, then I think let's pass it back to you, Vlad.
Okay, I think you guys should know that we are not slowing down. The team remains incredibly excited to continue our mission, and there's so much to do. Roadmap is full. AI event is coming up, which I think will be very, very exciting. So hopefully some of you will be able to join us there, at least virtually. And to commemorate this occasion, bittersweet though it might be, I've learned that Jason has a favorite dessert. And so we've actually brought one here, and Jason wanted to share this with everyone in person and virtually vicariously. A baked Alaska.
You all wonder why I'm retiring. Thank you.
Unfortunately, they wouldn't let us light it here, even though that would have been very cool. So
It looks incredible. It's the first time I've ever had it. Actually, growing up, my favorite was lemon meringue pie, and this brings back fond memories. So, and underneath, I anticipate there's ice cream, which is my favorite dessert.
I wish they gave me the lighter, and I just tried unsuccessfully to light it. But
well,
yeah.
thank you, and I appreciate all the kind words of encouragement, and I do believe we're leaving the company in an incredible position, and I think you're gonna find in short order that Shiv is, if not an upgrade, equally as good at driving the company forward. So thank you.
Thank you. We'll see if he can finish an entire one of these. It looks like there's one for each of us up here.
We'll bring some of the team to help with that.
All right.
Stephen Quirk bringing out that cake. So funny.
That was great, dude. That was great. That was just awesome. That was awesome to see.
I had a different question, but whenever you're last, it gets taken. So I actually took one of Roy's backup questions. So at least we got a little update on staking and whatever. But my question was already taken.
You did forget to say thank you, Tanner.
Yes.
You were the one who told us to say thank you, and you forgot to say thank you.
Okay, whatever, bro.
Dude, Vlad was like, I don't know if we can do this request, but Jason, you figure this shit out.
Yeah.
All right.
No, it was good. I'm happy they I hope that they think about that. I hope that they post that because that would be important.
Did I say more larger on the call? Oh my goodness, bro. The pressure when you have to ask a question, guys. It's wild. But there you go. All right, look, the stock is flat after hours. I don't think it matters as much because the quarter was amazing. So, Roy, I know you got to go. So just real quick, any overall thoughts on the call? Yeah, can you guys hear me okay? No, we cannot hear you okay.
No. You've killed it all. Dude, honestly,
no, it's not.
Well, he's figuring that out. Once I hear your voice, I'll stop talking. But this is another just slam. Like, this is a completely differentiated business. They really are showing off that they are doing things better than their competitors. 131% Rule of 40, market share growth, increasing operating expenses, but much slower than what we're seeing from actual revenue. What can't they do?
Yeah. And you guys can hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Weird. Yeah. StreamYard. Yeah, no, just a ridiculous, amazing quarter. And just, it's hard to find weak spots. Like, you have to really look. This company is cyclical still, but they're executing on all cylinders. I also really loved your question, by the way, Tanner, like the request that was in there. I know part of it was my question, but yeah, just you can ask anything. Like, okay, actually, not everybody knows this. We basically get to ask anything that we want. Same with all the other analysts and everything, and they answer. Sometimes I have to, tone it down, but they answer very transparently. I love that. I love the comments on transparency. And like Vlad said, like those in comments, it's not just hyperbole. If we had not seen the execution, maybe it would be. But this is a company that executes at an incredibly high cadence and with excellence, and they do acquisitions. Like they're just doing like everything right. This is, Amit, you're right. It is a $1 trillion company in the future. It may take 10 years to get there, but maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, look, if we get a bearish market in 26 or we get a correction, which inevitably you have something to pull back in the market, this is like, it's on the top list of stocks to buy. It just is. I mean, again, it's like, and whenever you think of selling or trimming the position, and everyone can sell or trim or do whatever they need to do for personal reasons, and then you hear a call like this, forget the results. You just hear the quality of how management is talking about the trajectory of a business. It reminds you a couple things. Number one, it reminds you that building a business is hard. And anyone who's ever built a business knows how hard it is. It reminds you that scaling and growing the business is even harder. You can make a business, but then actually getting it to compound over years is very difficult. And then number three, it reminds you how few businesses that are out there in the world that are actually scaling at 90% or 100%, I should say, for Robinhood year over year. Now, that's not going to happen forever, but the point is, you really ask yourself, where are those companies? And there's not many of them. There's maybe 20 to 30 of them that are public. And as a result, it's on the top list. And, you know, the one thing about this management team is you can trust them. You really can trust them. That's one of the biggest components for me. Can you trust management? And I think we can really trust Vlad and how they're executing.
I did the math now. Once we have the Bitstamp numbers, I was counting it into the crypto. So crypto didn't jump up 10 basis points. That would be including Bitstamp. But it did jump up 6 basis points. So it's 0.63 on just Robinhood app crypto. And then on Bitstamp, we're doing 0.04%. So much lower than what you're seeing on Robinhood, because obviously this is institutional rates for the most part. Okay.
It's incredible.
Just a little added piece.
Yeah, and one thing I also want to say is, you know, Vlad talked about this a little bit on the call, but he had this riff about how they're not the same company they were back in COVID. People forget, after the growth spurt they had in COVID, and then after the whole GameStop situation, they were dead as a stock and quite realistically as a company for about 2.5 years. And it's those moments when the company is not really executing, but behind the scenes, they're trying to figure out how to lay the foundation to get this type of execution. That's the most important. It's the most transformative. And it really shows a lot about Vlad as a founder. I mean, in those years when shit hits the fan, stocks at $6, no one cares anymore. And he's still having the mentality that he's going to build a multi-$100 billion company. Now Robinhood at $130 billion. Like, just very excited for him, very excited for the team, happy that retail investors got to be along the journey. But you just don't find that many people that can withstand the essentially death of their stock and their company and then come back alive and really execute at a level where now we're talking about, hey, $1 trillion doesn't sound crazy. And that's what Vlad did. And that's why it's hard to ever even think of betting against him.
And it's just a little thing, but I love the respect that they really do have for retail and retail questions. You know, of course, they bought Say Technologies back in 2021, 2022. And here is the first time that we've seen them get to ask questions live on video, too. So I'm kind of curious if that will be something that we see more companies adopt, since the technology is obviously there. But it's cool.
Let's hope, by the way, that monthly metrics do eventually include Shiv. You're brand new. Well, he's not brand new to the company, but as CFO, you can make this call. You can become an instant retail legend. Add that to the monthly metrics. Only I will care, but I'll make sure that it's known that you're the man.
Yeah, we'll call them metrics. Sorry.
I think a lot of us would care if they actually gave out the prediction markets. And they kind of have been doing that, but not like in a formal way. So if they did that, I think a lot of us would appreciate seeing that every month. All right. That is it. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Successful quarter. I know the stock's not going to the moon, but it kind of already is on the moon as per where it was back in April. So it has been a pretty successful year, and hopefully it ends out with a good run for the last 2 months. Yeah, there's a lot of crazy earnings. I'll be live tomorrow in the market open. We'll discuss everything else going on, but you got Elf, Fortinet, DoorDash going down, Qualcomm, IONQ, AppLovin going up, Robinhood basically flat. And so we still have a lot more earnings left, and NVIDIA in a couple weeks to round out Q3 earnings.
There we go. There we go.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. We will be back on Monday next week to recap all the earnings, and we'll see you guys for Q4 for Robinhood earnings.
Dude,
Thank you,
Snapchat
everybody.
is dipping. Oh my gosh. Bye, guys.
Yeah, Snapchat's being Snapchat. Bye, everybody. Have a good one.
Later.